And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Easter Sunday, round one AFL action coming to you from Colonial Stadium. The Adelaide Crows running out onto the ground. A brilliant sunny day here in Melbourne. The Adelaide players wouldn't know it though. The roof is closed here as I welcome James Brayshaw to the broadcast, one of Adelaide's favourite sons. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Gaz.
Wonderful day for footy.
It's a beautiful day for footy. Should be a good game too. We were talking about the fact that Western Bulldogs have got it over the Crows at the moment. 98, the preliminary final, the last time Adelaide beat the Western Bulldogs, so plenty on the line.
Well, they'd love to turn that around, of course, the Western Bulldogs, and here they are, led by their skipper, Chris Grant, and isn't that great news? Not only for the Western Bulldogs, but for football followers in general, one of the genuine superstars of the competition. And hear that roar, not a massive crowd here for Easter Sunday, but very excited Bulldog supporters to see them wearing, of course, that new jumper which celebrates the Bulldogs team of the century.
Nice recognition too there for Matthew Croft playing his 150th game, but you're right, Gaz, with Chris Grant, some big stories around the league have probably taken away from how important it is for the Western Bulldogs to have their captain and superstar centre-half forward out on the track.
Well, he is one of the great players of the competition, and we did catch up with him earlier, and we had posed the question just where he think he might play today.
Well, I think you'll see more of me up forward. Players always indicated that he sees my role being sort of majority of it being in the forward line, so I don't think that'll be any different today. They haven't had a lot of preparation, so you know, obviously the sort of deep forward line will probably be more likely me for the match.
3 intra-club practice matches under his belt. Chris Grant may not play the whole game, but he will need some support, and there are some familiar names in this Western Bulldogs lineup that will have the doggy supporters pretty excited, of course. Ryan Hargraves, a new player there in the back pocket. He's from Western Australia. Lovely to see new faces into the team. Rowan Smith across half-back. Expect him perhaps to push through the middle of the ground. They've got a great centre line there. Brad Johnson and Scotty West, all Australian players who have been in terrific form. Brad Johnson's playing super well. But goal-scoring potency is something they're looking for, and that's why they've recruited Aaron James, who's been pretty impressive. Daniel Bandy gives Luke Darcy some flexibility, and coming off the bench, young Jordan McMahon, a player that Terry Wallace has big hopes for and big raps on. So a pretty formidable-looking Western Bulldogs team, led by their skipper, Chris Grant. Familiar names, some familiar names missing from that Adelaide lineup, James.
Certainly are. They hit the season without a couple of their real superstars. Darren Jarman, a grand final winning player, leading goal scorer at the club last year, is retired. Matthew Robber, an underrated player at centre-half forward and a link. Big tall man, he's out as well, he's finished. Andrew Eccles and Peter Vardy have moved to clubs here in Melbourne, so you're right, there are some players missing. There is Darren Jarman, part of the Brains Trust, the assistant coach at the Adelaide Club.
An assistant coach, young Jars.
Well, I think he's mainly a forward specialist. Mark Micken sitting there as well, a former club fairest and best at the Adelaide Crows as well. Gary Ayres, the main man, as we know. John Reid in the front there, the footy coach or manager as well. But there's a man who has got a lot of responsibility today and throughout the season. He's been in great form, and the captain is going to have to play a big role today.
Let's have a look at this Adelaide side. Some premiership players still going around, so they've got a nice blend of experience, but there's some young boys there that need to step up.
Well, Ben Hart's the real general back there. Mark Stevens talking about players that have stepped up. Gary's been very good at centre-half back. Rashudo, we mentioned. Stenglein will have a tagging role today. Bode, one of those young players who comes in, showing a bit. Kane Johnson, but really it's the potency that they don't have. Shell, Fitzgerald, you know, young, tall players are going to have to do a big job up forward if they're going to kick a big enough score to win the game.
Some questions answered for the Adelaide Crows today, I'm sure. We'll take a break. Brian Taylor will join us on the back of the break for the start of the big round one action between Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs at Colonial Stadium.
Sunday night at the movie.
Welcome back to Colonial Stadium. The two skippers stride into the centre of the ground to toss the coin for the start of this big round one clash here between the Adelaide Crows and the Western Bulldogs. Let's cross down to the boundary line now with Michael Roberts and Dr. Peter Larkins.
Thanks, Gary. Bit of a shame that the roof is shut, but I spoke to Gary Ayres, the coach of Adelaide, before the game. A bit nervous when he came off the bus, knowing that their round one record is in Flash and also against the Bulldogs. There is a big whisper too that Chris Grant may be, servicing himself in the back line and not the forward line in the first quarter. And the Team of the Century jumper, they're wearing that out there to see if they can raise some money at the Team of the Century dinner on Thursday. I have Doc Larkin with me, and Doc, is there any major stars out of any of the lineups?
Probably
Nathan Eagleton missing from the Bulldogs lineup with his second hamstring injury in the pre-season, still 2 weeks ago. Ken McGregor still missing from his Wizard Cup knee injury. Brett Burton, boys, during the week missed training because of the flu, so it'll be interesting to see whether he gets through. Might be a bit underdone. Black armbands on the Bulldogs players today. One of the club doctors, Jake Landsberger, his mother died during the week, and that's the reason for the Bulldogs showing their respect.
Good on you, boys. Thanks very much, Michael Robertson. Dr. Peter Larkins joining us throughout the afternoon. A reasonable crowd in here at Colonial Stadium. The Western Bulldogs, of course, trying to make this their home ground. We caught up with Terry Wallace, and I'm sure he'd like to see plenty of Doggy supporters here at Colonial Stadium.
We were probably pretty disappointed last year with our efforts on Colonial Stadium. We only won, I think, 3 out of 11 games there last year, and for a home ground and to be a real home ground advantage, I mean, you just got to be winning your home games. You see the interstate clubs now, most of them have still got that genuine home ground advantage. So we've worked on training at Colonial and worked on our style of play for Colonial a fair bit over the summer. So really, I mean, today's crunch day where you find out whether it's all come together or not.
And that will be put to the test very, very shortly. Players heading out to their position as I welcome Brian Taylor to the broadcast. Brian, big game today. Looking forward to it very much.
Indeed so, Gary. And the Bulldogs are primed and ready to go. Adelaide Crows away from home for their first week of football. Should be a fantastic game. Watch for the early intensity of the Bulldogs. They're about to get underway. It's the Bulldogs and the Crows. Colonial Stadium, round 1. Darcy doing the ruck work. Crows outside the centre square. Onto it. Immediately goes forward. Bartlett, one-on-one. He has been outmarked. Croft it was, in fact, by that man in shell. And he'll line up for goal 5 or 6 metres out, almost directly in front.
Ideal start. This side very good out of the centre square. It's just getting conversions once they do get in there. So Daniel Shelp, the boy from Fremantle, who was impressive through the Wizard Home Loans Cup, played 16 games in 3 years at Freo, so just wasn't able to string them together, but this would be the perfect start opposed to Cross.
Not the best converters in the league, ranking 15 from inside 50. Shell comes in almost point-blank range, and he's nailed it. He likes it. Goal for the Adelaide Crows inside 30 seconds to start this game. Just the start they would have liked.
Absolutely, and well, let's have a look at some of the matchups as we look around the ground. And the Adelaide Crows, who are very good out of the middle. As we just watched the replay here, Bode it was, had just got his foot to the ball, and you just got to push it forward. Probably would have got a free kick for holding anyway, so that's a wonderful start. And if he can get 50 or 60 goals out of Daniel Shell, it'll be a wonderful result. McLeod's in the middle for the Crows, as is Rashudo, and Stengline with Big Clark as well. So pretty formidable centre square set up for the Adelaide Crows.
So a good start there for the tourists. One straight, and did it in very fine style. Back in the centre, rucks go at it. Clark tries to work it back to McLeod, can't do so. Ball on the ground. And the umpire, Martin Ellis, will come in and do it all again. Tony Liberatore, what a storied career he's had at the Western Oval. So the restart. Adelaide, of course, kicking to the left of screen and have an early goal through Shell, their full forward. Mark Rashudo bullocking away and unable to break clear.
We've got the merry-go-round in the middle of the ground here. Brad Johnson it is that's trying to get onto Andrew McLeod. Stengline trying to get onto Johnson. And Scott West involved in the mix as well. So we've got a little merry-go-round that'll sort itself out.
McMahon and Penny there on the bench for the Bulldogs. Darcy. Scratchy footy in the opening couple of minutes. Bulldogs.
Hello, John.
Hit by Olby was smothered. Hargrave, his first touch in league football. Brown on all fours. Liberatore eventually goes wide. Bulldogs have got numbers coming, but a little bit too late. Burton, fancy skills and good delivery. Mark has been taken by Fitzgerald. He wants to play on immediately, does it nicely. Long ball, Croft walked one out once again with Shell. Hargrave, the third man in the contest. And the rush behind there for the Adelaide Crows.
New look forward line for the Crows. Ryan Fitzgerald, who's got enormous potential, just couldn't get himself right at Sydney. Looks like he's playing across half forward with Shell in the goal square, which allows Burton to run free. He's a terrific runner, so there does appear to be some potency there.
Brown to bring it back in for the Western Bulldogs. The Crows with the zone, and he's taking his time, the very talented left footer. Now he delivers and goes long outside the 50. Kingsley Hunter with a run at it. Good mark. has had a good pre-season. Himself a former Docker. Short kick, and that's going to work out okay to Croft on the wing. He also goes in short to Brad Johnson, who has been on fire in the pre-season. That might have been touched. Doesn't matter because Nigel Smart's happy to see it across the line. Boundary throw in, the Dogs' first serious foray into their forward half.
Nigel Smart got the job on Chris Grant, and there are some very interested spectators. Dennis Pagan, the coach of the Kangaroos, with his assistants Tony Elshaw, Gavin Krasiska. They've got the Dogs next week here at Colonial.
Having a good look at what might confront them. Smart tries to run onto it. Got the numbers around the ball. Perry. Hurried handball picked up by a sharpshooter, and Garlick hit the post. Opportunity there for Simon Garlick. Normally very clever around the goals.
Rowan Smith started forward as well, Ryan, so they too have put some big guns up there to try and get goals on the board. As you say, Garlick knows his way around the forward line very, very well.
Hart with the responsibility, I assume, for most of the day. Important part of the game, kicking in from fullback. They must gain possession, and it was a nicely placed kick on the head of Rasciuto. Rasciuto releases the ball out. Doherty got on the end of it. And he's got a bit of free space in front to run. Pretty ordinary old attempt at the kick and delivery inside forward 50, which has been one of their problems. Hargrave running into a busting tackle. Burton picks up, and Grant, surprisingly, gets back to that last line.
His kick will find Brown and release Brown with plenty of room in front. Has a bounce. And now goes in short. Rowan Smith, the tumbling mark. Right in front of our broadcast position. His high kick will land at centre-half forward. Darcy parked in front. The thump works its way to the back. Hargraves, well done, picks it up. Shot on goal will miss. But a good turn of speed shown there by the youngster. And the Western Bulldogs have their second behind.
Grant looks like he may be switching just during play with Luke Darcy and push himself down in the back half. Darcy pushes forward.
Edwards spotted up Smart. Accepts, looking to get on with the ball. There he is. The man that the Bulldogs will be desperately trying to keep quiet, McLeod. Smart with the follow-up. And that man again. Beautiful gather. Long ball. Incredible shot at goal, McLeod.
Is back. Game over.
So a fast start to the Crows. 2-1. They lead the Western Bulldogs just a couple of behinds. And interestingly, their playmakers already starting to have an impact. No one gets a hand on that. Liberatore shovels a handball out to West. Now they start going, the Dogs. Darcy does well. Releases Brown, who runs inside the 50 and takes a flying shot on goal. Up there. Clinical finish there from Brown. A wonderful clearance from the centre. And the Dogs have got there first.
Well, we know that the statistic says that they are the best team in the competition in terms of the scoring percentages once they've cleared the ball from the middle of the ground. And when you've got hard workers like West in there, Darcy following up as well, quick hands through there to Johnson, and then all of a sudden Nathan Brown finds himself in space. So it's something that they need to be so very aware of, the Adelaide Crows, and they need a little bit of a spark, and to get one on the board there would be pleasing for them. Can't allow a player like Brown that sort of space.
Just the man to do it, Nathan Brown. A very dangerous player for any opposing side. Wait for the umpires. Michael Vozzo, Martin Ellis and Matthew James in control of the game today. West, lightning hands, Johnson. Advanced it forward, Smart. Been prominent so far in the game already, has Nigel Smart. An All-Australian on 3 occasions. The Crows look to work it out wide on centre wing. Kane Johnson. Nice delivery. So methodically going forward, the Crows, with neat delivery. Stevens slots up and looks for the lead. They have been very tidy the forward end of the ground with their foot skills. And the resultant free or mark to Fitzgerald.
He has got some ability, this kid. I remember watching him at Sydney, and he just needs to stay sound. They've got some height down there with Stevens and Fitzgerald and Shell as well.
Has been a problem area for them, hasn't it?
It has, and it's just stretching the Bulldogs at the moment.
Fitzgerald from the boundary line. Got about 35 metres to travel. Always a tough kick. And you saw the result. Just the minor score there. So the Crows 2-2-14. The Bulldogs 1-2-8.
Nigel Smart being prominent across half-back opposed to Chris Grant, which his confidence would be a bit shaky anyway, Grant. All of a sudden he's just chasing a bit of tail, which would be good news for Adelaide.
Robbins called to go, eventually does, and kicks it into double coverage. Thump away, now they've got a chance. Beautiful handball there from McLeod. They pump it back in, bouncing, and it's across the line. Trent Bartlett doesn't know that at the moment, but the boundary umpire, the goal umpire I should say, has said it's his, and a third behind on the board for the Crows.
McLeod pickup on his bootlaces was as clean as anything. He looks sharp. He looks to be in terrific touch.
Matthew Robbins from fullback. Sexy, as they know him down at the Western Bulldogs.
Thank you, Brian.
It's his nickname, Gary. I wasn't speaking of you. The smallest man on the field in the air then. Liberatore dissects the centre square. Gian Siracusa beaten in the air by Burton. Burton wastes no time as the Crows have got spares on out wide. Doherty takes his time. Delivery, McLeod, quick. Dropped an easy mark in the end. Picked up by Bode. He was tackled. And in doing so, the umpire said he held it too long, and a free kick to the Bulldogs in their defensive 50.
Under siege a little at the moment. The Dogs back there. Adelaide getting it in quickly and looking dangerous. Dropping it over the top. This is Alvey for the Dogs. Got a squaring option in Luke Darcy. Fitzgerald coming at him, but the kick was on. Bartlett released now. He'll go over the top. A couple of options there for Footscray. The Western Bulldogs going back in time a little there, BT. And you can see the movement ahead. I remind everyone it's a beautiful day here in Melbourne, but the roof is going to be shut at Colonial Stadium all season. Brown with the ball, the goal scorer, right on the logo. Searching kick, Chris Grant, one-handed, can't get it. Bashudo bullocked off the ball there by West. Goodwin comes in for the assist, and there'll be a bounce.
It's when they play their best footy, I think the Western Bulldogs is when they spot players up, and they do go short. And we see this, that Adelaide haven't defeated the Dogs since the 88 preliminary final, so it'd be a good time to start from that point of view, but they've just got to be precise, the Western Bulldogs. I think that's when they're most dangerous.
The 98. 88 might be stretching a little bit too far there, Gary. Bandy.
Apologies.
Thank you. Gian Siracusa, dangerous. Offline. And just the minor for the youngster, who was a significant contributor in the Bulldogs' last half of the season last year.
He, Elvey, Murphy, who's not playing today, of course, and McMahon, they're the exciting players in this Western Bulldogs side that will give them leg speed and carry through the middle of the ground as Libra and these players get a bit older.
Prosciutto finds Hart. Been tidy on the foot skills I mentioned before. Hart plays on. Goes wide. Dropped the easy mark there, Goodwin. Liberatore has got Johnson on. May have infringed over the top Bassett. No, said the umpire. Ball spills loose. Johnson got a boot on it. He goes over the line. So boundary throw in. The Bulldogs a chance to regain some of their composure and perhaps put on some forward pressure. The Adelaide Crows in the early part of this game.
Well, goals from stoppages becoming a very relevant statistic for the coaches. Perry hung on to. No free coming his way. Dangerous area of the ground from Adelaide's point of view, but they do it nicely. Tyson Edwards with the footy. And a very nice kick too to find Bode. Did not have to break stride. Bode now inside 50. Going back with it. McLeod can't hang on. Bartlett claimed high. No free kick. Gets the handball away. Robbins with it now. Bouncing. Very cool back there. His kick dropped by Darcy. Under siege, the Dogs. Short kick, not going to go far enough. Play on. And Harrison, in the end, does pretty well.
Good kick. Out in front of West. Getting in the way to skipper Bickley. Jim Siracusa. Do you like the way he turns and moves? Excellent delivery. The skipper. His first kick on return. Jim Siracusa. Outside 50. Long ball been marked. Elvey.
It was great work by Rowan Smith off the footy. And again, the turnover, they're probably a little fortunate in their back, right on the last line of defence, the Dogs, that once they were able to find some space, they use the ball so very well that if you don't respect them, then you're in trouble. Look at this kick. Look at the work by Rowan Smith off the footy there. Just that little bump on Hart allowed Elvey to take that mark on the chest. So I think Adelaide have got to close this game up as best they can. Once they get a bit of space, fourth touch for Elvey, this will be, then that's when the Dogs look most dangerous.
To tie the ball game up, Mark Elvey. A relatively simple shot. There's the picture that confronts him. Umpire hasn't moved. Tied ball game.
It's a red-hot game out there today. A huge pack of players around the football. Someone's got to get it moving. Now he's in the clear. Watch out. Oh, he's got that very high. A ferocious tackle. Oh-ho!
Golden draft, thanks.
All she was worried about was losing her rating 1.
Held a rating 1 for the last 3 years and your insurance company wants to take it away? Call AMI. They'll give it back.
Lucky. So it's all tied up at Colonial Stadium. The plough sitting in the front there with the phone at the ready. 2-3 apiece. Clark wins it this time. Straight to ground. McLeod lurking. Kane Johnson, some of the Crows' premiership midfield silk right there. Matthew Clark with a big job to do this season. Michael Vozzo, Matthew James, Martin Ellis, the umpires.
Upature looks like he may have gone on to McLeod. Robbins with Goodwin.
Darcy and Clark. Bickley this time from a standing start. Gets it to half forward. Making a charge at it, Burton. Beautifully done, Goodwin. Fabulous skills. Kane Johnson steps around. Now he gets it to Stevens. Unloads on goal. And I fear he's missed to the near side.
Well, excitement levels from an Adelaide point of view go up when their terrific midfield players like Goodwin and McLeod get their hands on the ball because they're so creative. And, well, 3 touches so far to Goodwin. McLeod also had 3 touches, and Nigel Smart 4 across half-back. So the good players are standing up.
Robbins, risky kick in, found Elvey, kicked the last goal. You just get the feeling that the Bulldogs have put the brakes on Adelaide just for the moment. Adelaide fast starters today. Brown, centre wing, on his non-preferred right side there.
He's playing it downfield, I reckon.
Yeah, it's coming back because the ball went over the line out of bounds, Gary. You're quite right. It would have been downfield if the ball had stayed in.
Soft free kick.
Have a look at it.
Split second. It looks late there because it's slow motion, but Shell had to put pressure on Nathan Brown.
Brown kicked the first goal for the Bulldogs today. And they trail by just the 1 point at the moment, midway through this first quarter. Aaron James attempting there, just pushed a little bit too easily out of the way by Bassett.
Nathan Bassett down the line. Surely some holding there. No free kick. Shell, the player, infringed. Now it's West. Handballs into the bootlaces of Darcy, who does well to control it back to West. Croft now. Garlick. Chain of handballs. They're going to go sideways. The Dogs. Harrison ends up with the ball on the outer wing. He decides to settle it down.
This is where they've got to be patient.
His kick will end up inside the 50. Bandy in best position. Good mark. Worked Perry under the ball. Did it very nicely, the former Fremantle Docker.
Doesn't have great length in his kicking, so this would really test him, James.
He'll end up about 55 metres out, you would imagine, when boot goes to ball. On its way. He may have pulled it left, searching for distance he has, and that is through for a behind. We're all tied up again.
Just question, if that was the case, Brian, whether or not going for goal and having the ball spoilt from a metre out is the percentage play. I mean, maybe he would have been better to look to the top of the square and at least give his forwards a marking opportunity that would then allow his crummers to also be involved. It's just too easy for a defender in that situation to punch the ball across the line.
Very frustrating if you're a forward waiting in the goal square and you know that he can't go the journey, and the attempt is still there. Hart. Clark. No win in the air. Nice turn out of trouble by Doherty. McLeod, who's got a number of possessions already. Stevens. Burton full of run. The Adelaide defenders, they go forward once again. Bartlett could have almost infringed there. Did well, though. In the end, the umpire saw not to give a free. Croft. Linking play by the Bulldogs. This is the dangerous part of their game, as Gary Lyon mentioned before. Harrison, a low ball, finding its mark in Croft. Down to half-forward, James Syracuse, ball knocked away by Edwards. Half-back. Edwards, a nice little slot kick, found his man there, and Doherty.
He tries to get a handball in, dangerous stuff for Shudo, the centre pond, and now the Western Bulldogs are away. Gian Syracuse are interfered with. He was taken high. The advantage paid Alvey now with the footy. Looking for Johnson, can't find that flag. Adelaide defence having to work very hard. Well done, Nathan Bassett in the clinches, got the kick away and found Simon Goodwin, the former best and fairest winner, right on the wing. Raking left foot kick. It's a good one too. Shell, hands and knees, just fell short of him. It's across the line, boundary throw-in.
Adelaide last year were the second worst team in converting goals once they got inside 50, and again it seems to be a problem. They look dangerous early. They've gone inside 10 times to the Western Bulldogs 6. It scores a level. They've just got to be more efficient.
20-minute mark of the first quarter. Scores are tied. Johnson slung out of it. Still got the hands off. Dangerous Stevens. Kick towards goal. Got there Bartlett. Trent Bartlett, spoiling defence, played all of last year up forward for the Bulldogs and has turned that around by playing all of the practice games in defence this year and looks equally capable at both ends.
Got a blood rule here. I think it might be Ryan Fitzgerald. The new recruit for the Adelaide Crows coming off. Just a little bit of blood on the knee. Dr. Peter Larkins will be all over that. I've got no doubt about it. See those midfield players for Adelaide, they do cop a lot of attention. Johnson's now come onto the ball, Brad Johnson that is, to run with McLeod. He's got the tag of Steng line. So it becomes a battle of wills at the end of the day as Scotty Welsh comes on for Ryan Fitzgerald.
22 goals in 2001, Welsh. So the boundary throw-in will take place deep in the Adelaide forward line. Darcy, Robbins, he's normally very quick. Hands always putting West under pressure. Stevens came through. Johnson, West, they set up the triangle out of defence. Robbins, the dummy, still gained control. Grant, Smart did well, the defender. Kingsley Hunter, Smith tried to sock it off the ground. Adelaide applying enormous pressure here. Hunter, they are hot every time they get at the Bulldogs. Elvey, handball to nobody in particular. Doherty tries to run the brick wall.
What a great tackle from Daniel Bandy. Doherty got through one, but Bandy just, he grit his teeth. And have a look at this. That is just a copybook tackle. Pinned an arm.
Bandy, low ball, searching, couldn't find Hunter, who drifted out from fullback. Gian Syracuse spins out of trouble. Left foot snap at goal. Beautiful kick from the young gun.
In Timor, you know, we'd drive down the road and the kids would run out and they'd wave at us. So we thought we'd do something good for them and give something back. Found an orphanage that was one of the poorest in East Timor and made swings for them, chairs, tables, made a seesaw, which was good. They'd never seen one before and, you know, dug it in and the kids loved it. And I tell you what, it makes a day.
So after weathering the early storm, it is the Western Bulldogs who have the lead 22-16. They've kicked the last three and are starting to play very good football all around the ground. Darcy and Clark. Darcy picks it up off the ground. They look like going forward again, the Western Bulldogs. West, who has been everywhere, tumbles a kick inside the 50. Grant can't hang on. Off the ground, almost Brown. Desperation back there from Smart and also Bassett. And there'll be a bounce 25 metres out from goal.
And right there is Chris Grant's lack of preparation. He would have marked that. I would back him to mark that 19 times out of 20, but he just hasn't played the footy at this stage of the season.
From the restart, now running West. Swinging shot on goal from Scotty West. I fear he's dragged it too far. And that is a behind. Doing all the scoring here, the Western Bulldogs. And that man on screen has had a very big time of it the last 5 or so minutes.
Tackled their way back into it, the Bulldogs, I think, just with pressure. 6 tackles to 2 at the moment. And it just lifted their work rate and their intensity.
Bassett told by the umpire, get on with it, or I'll ball it up on the edge of the square. Kick in board, Edwards. Little one over the top. Bulldogs just playing closer one-on-one football. Aaron James West. Clever little knockout there by West. Liberatore had gone to ground, though, when probably could have kept his feet. Garley just behind play. Can't see it on your screen, in a little bit of trouble as well. The runner just checking with him, so Doc Larkins will keep an eye on that for us.
Bounce on the outer side. Adelaide, you feel need a steadier here. They've got out of the blocks well. Let's go down to Michael Roberts on the boundary line.
Yes, 150 game of Matthew Croft off and Steve Pretiak on.
Umpire Michael Vozzo just showing the players the path he's about to take after bouncing the ball. Tyson Stengline and Brad Johnson have a wrestle. To do it all again.
Just wondering whether the Adelaide forward line, there's a bit of a sameness about it with Fitzgerald and Shell and Burton and Stevens if he plays down there. You need to break it up a bit, and that's probably why McLeod goes down, just to put something a bit different into the mix. Get a little bit of excitement down there, because it can just be a little bit one-dimensional from time to time.
Lower level players as well, they need to get to the drop of those players you mentioned, Gary. Bode is one of them, Burton another, although he also has the ability to be an upper level player. The situation arises, free kick picked out, it's going to go to the Crows. Dogs fans don't like it. Clark gets the handball off, and now they're away through Stengline. Rashudo, the skipper, left foot delivery, spears the kick looking for Stevens, can't find him. Handball really to no one, allows Adelaide to run at it. McLeod not able to pick it up. Rashudo runs into 4 or 5. Bode with a very good tackle. Burton now puts on one of his own. Alvey getting the handball away, but I think a free kick's been picked out. It's going to go to that player, and advantage is played.
Yeah, playing the trick there, but this in the meantime has released the Bulldogs. Brown. Gary Lyon says he's got everything on downfield. Hunter, superior pace on the lead. He's a long way from goal, 60 metres out. He's a thumping kick. Grant couldn't mark. Adelaide there in numbers in the front and centre department. They work hard to bring it out of defence through Hart. What a player he has been over a number of years for the Adelaide Crows. Kane Johnson, bit of an iffy handball. Butters up, gets a second attempt. Edwards, well, eventually picks it up after dropping the easy one. Not a lot of pressure on Edwards as he goes forward. Kick, that is just too easy. Stevens will lose the ball, I would think now.
Get him off the ground, Mark Stevens. He's got the footy. He's 40 metres, 35 metres directly in front, and he gives a soft push in the chest to Stephen Crediel for no reason. I mean, that's almost demoralising.
Well, Crediel coughs it up, and now they wander back in, the Adelaide Crows, and they answer with a vengeance. Perry, the goal kicker.
The Duracell Alkaline Battery, long-lasting with lots of bite. Duracell Copper Top, long-lasting alkaline.
1 point the margin. The Western Bulldogs, after enjoying a nice little patch, find they're handing one back to Adelaide. Wonderful running finish there from Ian Perry. Clean possession taken by Clark. Wanders through the traffic. High kick inside the 50. Shell may have been interfered with. McLeod dangerous in this situation. So dangerous, in fact, that Robbins concedes from about 35 metres out with a handball, and we're all tied up.
It looks dangerous with McLeod inside 50. If they can win enough footy out of the middle and be able to keep him down there, it just looks capable of making something happen.
Robbins looking to loop the kick over the top. He did it successfully to Johnson. A fair kick out to mark it on the point of the square, even just forward of that. Johnson looking for something wide to eventuate. His skipper offers. No pressure coming at him. Surprising. Burton, the big thump away.
Again, just a little uncharacteristic error from Chris Grant. Poor choice then to go short to Elvie in that situation. So it's just a lack of footy at the moment for Chris Grant. He will pick up the tempo of this game, and provided he's fit and strong enough, then we expect to see him a bit more assured in the second half.
It's just a touch and a feel thing, isn't it, for him at the moment? Clark. Darcy finally wins the better of him. It's been a nice old battle, those two, going at each other. Darcy. Brown has marked. That was easy. Nice body position. Just Gary leading his man slightly under the ball.
Well, one of the things they've got, the Western Bulldogs, is the flexibility to throw Nathan Brown forward, to put Johnson forward, to put Smith forward, and they all are comfortable in front of goals. There's no free kick there. It was just he judged it a little better than Mark Bickley, and he's just got his hands full at the moment, Mark Bickley.
If Nathan Brown delivers this year, you get the feeling the Bulldogs might as well, as Brown hammers his second home. Bulldogs hit the front.
It's television's toughest challenge.
I voted for Nigel.
Who will be the ultimate survivor?
I'll vote for Jamie.
That can outgarden, outbuild and outblitz the rest. Backyard Blitz, 6:30 tonight on 9. Makeovers are meant to be fun.
Everyone's happy, but how long can that last?
Until now.
Thank you, mind up.
And how much would you pay for a house built for charity?
Are you all signed up? The money's going to Camp Quality.
All new location tonight on 9.
Free kicks running 5-1 in favour of the Western Bulldogs at the moment. 4-5-3-5. They've got the ascendancy on the scoreboard as well. Back in the centre. Bandy now in the middle. West has done well. Bandy claimed in a tackle. Broken clear now through Johnson. They move forward, the Dogs. Chris Grant, well placed, almost brings in the one-hander on the ground. Tries to get it to Darcy. Perry does nicely. Now it's with Bickley, and they break clear through Bassett. Short kick will find Kane Johnson. Wonderful skills from that young man. He goes down the line. Kicks into a nest of Bulldogs, however. Kingsley Hunter claimed when he had a fair bit of it. Now it's with Hargraves. Back inside the 50, Nigel Smart, good mark.
Been very good, Nigel Smart. Probably Adelaide's best in his first quarter across half-back.
Goes short. Johnson accepts the mark. Just a few seconds. Won't be any further score added in this quarter, you wouldn't think. And there it is, quarter time. The Bulldogs by one straight goal. 4-5-29 to Adelaide, 3-5-23. See Chris Grant there and Burton, a significant player in that first quarter as well.
Yeah, they were. They got a bit of the footy. In fact, there will be some high statistics winners because they do almost, not so much concede, but they aren't tight both sides through the middle of the ground, and they win the ball back across half-back. And whichever side can be a bit more efficient when they go forward, then they will win on the day. Scott West, 10 touches, and Elvie 8. Star performance through the middle of the ground. So it's quarter time here. Gary has a little bit of work to do. The Western Bulldogs 4-5-29 to Adelaide 3-5-23. We'll be back with the second quarter here at Colonial Stadium.
On 9 and Adelaide's National 9 News. It's a whole new ball game in 2002. We bring you more than just the game. Get the inside stories from your home teams with Adelaide's National 9 News.
Damn it. Dougie, how are you? I'm good.
2 large pizzas, your pepperoni dipsticks, and a 4-pack of Time Out ice cream. It's only $24.95.
Fantastic.
I know. Dermot, what about a tip? Work hard, be good to your mother. Always wanted to say that.
Gee, smooth ride. Standard air, ABS, and look at all these extras. Sports trim, automatic transmission, cruise control, 16-inch alloys, new spoiler. It's got the lot. And he's got this. Look at him. Thinks he's king of the road.
So, what do you think?
About what?
New Series 3 Falcon SR, now sporting unbeatable value.
At Bunnings Warehouse, you'll find the lowest prices on everything you need for your Easter projects. 3-piece paintbrush set, $2.94. Hand trolley, a bargain at $19.95. 4-burner barbecue, a low $179. Cordless drill kit, great value at $59. And 19-piece screwdriver set, $9.99. We won't be beaten on price. And that's guaranteed.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Footy fans, if you have the passion, we have the power. The power needs you to cheer them to victory in 2002, and the smartest way to do it is with a season ticket. Prices start at $110 for adults and $39 for children for 11 home games, including Showdown 12. For all inquiries and to get the best deal for you and your family, ring the Power Hotline.
Welcome back to Colonial Stadium. Quarter time here. The Western Bulldogs, a solitary goal in front of Adelaide after Adelaide jumped away to a handy little break early in that quarter. Let's have a look at the goal scorers to the quarter-time break. And Nathan Brown, dangerous up forward with Daniel G and Syracuse and Mark Elvey singles. Shell, McLeod and Perry, the single goal scorers for the Adelaide Crows. So pretty tight first quarter. Chris Grant coming back into footy. Hasn't played much football because of the celebrated case, of course, as Terry Wallace speaks to his players. Just some, well, un-Chris Grant-like mistakes early in the game, Brian, and you just put that down to touch. I mean, in time to come, these things will happen for him because he's such a star, but he worked hard, but just didn't quite fall for him.
Look, he had 6 disposals in that first quarter, Gary, which is not a bad effort, but you can train, and he's hardly missed a training session, but there is nothing like actually getting a bit of match touch, and that is something that he has missed. You mentioned that he played 3 practice games. 2 of those, of course, were very, very early, some 8 weeks ago, so they really don't figure in it.
Well, it's just good to see him back out there, I'm sure, and he will get better as the game rolls along. One man that's always getting better is Michael Roberts. He joins us on the boundary.
Well, a couple of communication breaks down. Terry Wallace came down about 5 minutes before the bell then to work out the telephone situation. There's been a breakdown. They're still working on it now. And the 2 huddles that were so close together that Gary Ayres had to take them, well, another 30 metres down the track so he could yell on a real seething attack on some of his players. And it was obvious that a lot of the players know that Chris Grant is out of touch, and they were congratulating him in the first-time huddle for this opening second quarter.
Good on you, Michael. Thank you very much. Scott West, the star of the first quarter with 10 disposals, 5 clearances. He's up against Mark Rashudo, but they're good mates, Gary Ayres and Terry Wallace. They wouldn't mind sharing the same patch of turf out there during the huddle, boys.
I don't think so, Gary. What about you, James?
Oh, there's enough of it. The whole football ground's worth. So we start again in the second term. 29 plays 23. Again, Adelaide with a quick clearance. Almost held there, Stevens. Now the Bulldog defence kick in. Robbins runs his full measure and kicks along the line. Big fly from behind there by McLeod. Thumps it down. West gets it. And a good kick, too, to centre-half forward. Bandy drops perhaps what he should have taken. Perry can't reel him in. The agility of Daniel Bandy. Now he thumps it long to the square. Garlick! Mark, goal! Great start for the Western Bulldogs.
Well, it was a terrific start, and Ian Perry wouldn't really like to see that piece of play again, I wouldn't think. Daniel Bandy was the player who made a mess of the wonderful pass from Scott West in the middle of the ground, and just Perry allowed him just to push off him and run through the middle of the ground. He's going to be a really handy player. Let's have a look at this. And Ian Perry, not hard enough. Just had to realise you had to get a hand in there and hold him up. It was a wonderful kick deep into the goal square. And Simon Garlick, who we mentioned is such a dangerous player, now finds himself opposed to Graham Johncock, who wouldn't be feeling too comfortable playing out of the goal square in a big game of AFL football.
Good to see Bandy and the Bulldogs lifting their vision and looking long. something perhaps they have been accused of not doing over the last year or two. So the goal of Garlick sees the ball back in the middle. Liberatore. McLeod has got the ball on half forward. The dangerous Andrew McLeod. Kick forward. Burton made a bit of a meal of something that perhaps was a little easier. Stevens. Dangerous in the first quarter. West, as you mentioned, Gary Hurd, one of the leading possession getters on the ground. Bartlett takes on 3 Adelaide opponents. Prosciutto, handball back. Here they go, the Crows. Kick across the face. Has missed everything in its path except the boundary line. And it'll be the Bulldogs to kick the ball back into play. As you see the onlookers there, Mark Bickley, the skipper, on the bench.
Daniel Bandy made his presence felt early in this game. Alvey with all sorts of space on the wing. He's got about 50 metres in front of him. Can slow up now. Gets the kick to half forward. Darcy in best position. Takes a comfortable mark. They're starting to get the ball going forward very nicely. Darcy flips it over the top. Johnson, well played. Just edged Stengline under the ball and took a very clever mark.
Well, they look dangerous at the moment, the Western Bulldogs, all over the ground. They're winning the ball in defence too easily, and when it comes out of their defensive 50, they've got players who are just lining up to get possession. They look a bit ragged, the Adelaide Crows. They've got to tighten up, and they've got to work harder. Their forwards have got to work harder to keep the ball in that area.
So Johnson times the kick superbly. Goal. On fire, the Bulldogs. They're 6th.
You meet people and it's like, so what do you do? I say, like, I'm a plumber. And they go, yeah, cool, you know. And then if I say I'm actually in the army as well, and they've trained me in that, they don't understand that there's plumbers, electricians, carpenters. I mean, we've got enough people in this squadron to build a town from scratch. Went to Bulla to help with new buildings and new sewage systems, water and electricity. How can you not feel good about doing your job and you're just doing it normally? You're not doing anything special, but to know that it's helping other people.
On down there and try and create some goal-scoring chances.
3 consecutive goals for the Western Bulldogs. Sees them leading the game comfortably in the early stages of this second quarter. Clark and Darcy fight. Neither could win the ball out. Darcy eventually tries to extract it. So 2 groupings of 3 consecutive goals now for the Bulldogs. In the first quarter, Brown, Alvey and Gier and Siracusa. Now followed by Brown, Garlick and Johnson, with just the 1 Adelaide goal from Perry in between those 6. Ball up in the middle of the ground. Clark winning it down. Both ruckmen not electing to jump at the ball, Gary, just stand and wrestle.
Just having a look at this Adelaide forward line. They've got Shell in the goal square alongside Fitzgerald, 2 6'3" and 4 blokes, and they've got Stevens and Burton out across half forward. They might need some smaller crumbing types.
Kane Johnson got boot to ball quickly to get it to centre half forward. Stevens fighting hard. Bode. Livers there. Harrison. West over the top. Bode again with the ball. And the umpire wants it to go no further and will ball it up inside the centre square, roughly centre half forward for the Crows.
Kane Johnson on your screen. Bulldogs, league leaders in registering a score from a centre break. They've managed to do that on a number of occasions. Clark crudely gets rid of Darcy. No free kick. High tumbling ball to half forward for the Western Bulldogs. There's surely a free kick to Doughty, and he will get it. Ironic cheers from the Adelaide faithful. They haven't liked the treatment they've received from the men in white so far. Kane Johnson on the outer side. Stops, assesses, and then goes in short and finds Tyson Edwards. He's got a player on inboard, and that's Graham Johncock. Came on the ground, Gaz, when Mark Bickley went off at the quarter-time break. Long kick inside the 50. Shell bundled in the back and will receive the free kick.
Sorry, James, I was just saying that's where they struggle, is coming inside. And even on that instance, they went to probably a 3-on-1. And we have a look at this. It was a soft free, but there were 3 Western Bulldog players at the feet of Shell if he wasn't able to take possession or get a free kick, as it turned out. So I think their forward area, their structure, needs a little bit of fine-tuning at the moment. They need this goal badly.
Daniel Shell kicked one early, and heard it from Gary Lyon. They could do with one now. Drop punt on the way. Not going to make the distance. Picking it up, Burton. That's a fresh air shot at it. Doesn't connect. A smother, or an assist we might call it, BT. It's across the line and through for a behind.
You were saying there, as we have a look at the Adelaide Crows coaching staff, Gary Ayres at the back and John Reid down in front. Smith kicks the ball back into play, that Burton at training just takes specky after specky.
Yep, all on his own too. He has an incredible vertical leap. That will surprise none of his fans who have watched him over the years take some towering marks.
Brown got space. He's got Darcy on down the field. He accepts. Darcy on his non-preferred right. Delivery to Grant was inch perfect. I think he probably meant to pick out Hunter. And Grant just yelled out, "I'm coming through. Let me have it."
Well, you compare the ball use going forward in that instance. Luke Darcy was a player that just dropped off the back of the pack. They've got confidence in their players to maintain possession. So maybe Darcy took a little bit of a risk and pushed a bit forward of it, but you knew that Bandy was there to push him behind him and support him. And then they're very, very precise. They are able to hit targets, and they have got forwards who are dangerous and presenting to the football.
253 games for the veteran captain. Just watch him as he sometimes, beautiful shot this, creeps to the right when he kicks it, and that often makes him kick across the line of the ball. So have a close look at that. It's a beautiful shot to see it. There it is, just that little feint out right, and that is the direction in which the ball headed. You like to see a player run in a straight line as much as possible. And a bad miss really in the end for the Bulldogs there. 6-6-42 to the Crows 3-6-24.
Nathan Brassett to bring it back in. Straight down the ground. Number of players there, including Chris Grant. Well read by Sten Glant. Again, the Crows handling just a little messy. Handball into the ground there, setting Rashudo a task. Now it's with Burton. Looking forward for an option. High kick now. They need a marking player down there. Fitzgerald unable to pick it up. Almost gets it back off the ground, but now Kingsley Hunter far too easily gets it to Liberatore, and the Dogs are away. Kingsley Hunter, long kick forward, good kick too. Well done. Gian Syracuse has got the footy, and we'll take a shot on goal.
I tell you what, the Adelaide defenders, do you know when they get most nervous? They get most nervous when the football goes inside their forward 50, because the rebound coming out is, there's no pressure whatsoever. And if it didn't go to Hunter, then Johnson was on his own in 25 metres of space. It's just, that's when you'll be so nervous as an Adelaide defender. It's not when the footy's in your area, because they can control that. It's up the other end of the ground.
Very happy with this young player out of the Western Oval. Gian Syracuse has kicked 1-1. Deliberate shot on goal. He's timed it okay, but he's missed to the near side. So a let off for Adelaide, 6-7 to 3-6.
They have let them off the hook the last couple of moments, because they're just dominating at the moment, the Bulldogs.
Hart receives the kick in. Just works it up to halfback McLeod. I think his first touch of this second quarter after a pretty good first quarter. Big Short finds his man in Johnson. Bit of off-the-ball stuff between Stenglein and Smith. Hart runs up. So Adelaide Crows players really pushing forward now.
All
as we see them.
All players in one half of the ground here, Brian, so there won't be much space for the Adelaide forwards.
Kick goes forward, looking for Johnson. On the lead, picks it up, can give it off. John Cock gets it, 45 metres out, standing start. Great goal from John Cock.
So they get an answering goal, the Adelaide Crows, and they narrow it back to 13 points. Terrific moment there for Graham Johncock. Bigland's now in the ruck, gets it to Goodwin. They get a clearance, going back with the flight. Robbins can't reel it in. Free kick though. Not sure if that was there.
What would that be for?
I think just the boot might have collected his head accidentally on the way through, Gary.
Oh, you can't. He slid into his knee, did he not?
Possibly so.
Well, he'll get any argument from the Adelaide fans at the ground, Gary. Bartlett with the footy now at half-back. Darcy from behind ends up having to thump. Hargraves did well. It's going to carry Kingsley Hunter. Garlick picks it up, goes by hand to Johnson. They're at half-forward, the Western Bulldogs. Johnson closing, kicks to the square, carries everyone. That's a goal. Brad Johnson with his second. The Western Bulldogs stretch the Crows again.
Once again, it was that rebound footy. Once they get a fast break, they had numbers lined up, and Brad Johnson's kicked his second for the quarter. But it's just players that come to meet the ball and are able to read the play so very well. We see Brown running out a shot there, but Scott West was also in support. I just don't know whether the Aaron James shove was completely within the boundaries of the law, but nevertheless, a couple of changes down there. Welsh coming on.
And Credior following in his footsteps, Gary, so that seems to be a predetermined move. Umpires with the ball, a 19-point lead to the Western Bulldogs in the middle parts of this second quarter. Darcy, Garlick tries to soccer off the ground. Johnson, Edwards working hard. Retrieved the ball out of the middle. Got it to the man that can damage you by foot, Rashudo. Kick missed its intended target. Johnson comes back to Burton. Runs in 35 metres out. That is a nice-looking goal. The work of Rashudo through the midfield was good. Burton finished and nailed his first goal for the Crows.
Well, we had a couple of bad misses by Chris Grant and Gene Syracuse, and since that time, 2 goals have found their way onto the score sheet for Adelaide. Rashudo starting to win a bit of footy around at the stop play through the middle of the ground. And look, I'd really like to see Brett Burton play up inside that 50. I know he's a great athlete. I know he can cover a lot of ground, but he's such a dangerous forward, such a hard man to match up on that I think he'd be a pretty formidable opponent up there.
So back in the centre, good game. Seesawing second quarter, overrunning it, Rashudo. Scotty West picks it up. Surely taken high, no free kick. Now Mark Rashudo gets it going forward. Wrestling there, thump over the back. McLeod picks it up, across his body, he lays it. He is a magician, this guy. He's kicked 2, the Crows answer back.
The Duracell Alkaline Battery, long-lasting with lots of bite. Duracell Copper Top, long-lasting alkaline.
Andrew McLeod, just sensational. That goal, 76 consecutive games he's got going at the moment for the Adelaide Crows, and they have been blistering ones. The Crows have kicked 3 out of the last 4 goals in this second quarter. In the middle. One out there by Biglands, who's come on in place of Clark. Brown gets onto it. Robbins working hard off half-back. Kick out wide. Sitting under it there was Garlick, and John Cock did a wonderful job in defending the ball to the boundary.
Good effort from the young fella. It's kicked his first goal in footy, so he's happy, feeling good about himself. It's confidence to leave his player then and affect the spoil.
Not wanting to do your job for you, Gaz, but hasn't Biglands made a difference since going into the centre for Adelaide?
Feel free to do my job for me, James.
That'll be the last time I'm going to do it. Pushed out of it there was Welsh. Now it's going well for the Bulldogs. West, great chase and tackle from Bode. Surely got to be rewarded. No free kick. John Cock with the handball. Just gathering back there now. Welsh set a task. Thumps it the way of Biglands. Steps around. Back to John Cock. He's made an impact since coming on the ground. The short kick finds Perry across half-back. Down the line he goes. Rashudo forced the thump from the back and ended up doing a pretty good job of it. It's across the line.
A bit of vigour has come into this Adelaide side in the past 6 or 7 minutes. It might be Biglan's. It might be the fact that Rashudo's just taken the bit between the teeth and started to impose himself. And there's our top 5 possession winners. Johnson starting to get a bit of the footy, and Stevens as well. So things just tightening up a bit here.
Bulldogs have got 3 in the top 5 there, but just a bit of urgency crept into the Adelaide Crows in the last 10 to 12 minutes as they gain possession on the wing, and they've got it to the danger man in McLeod. Kicked 2 goals in the game so far. Kick to the lead, just a little bit too lengthy. In comes Fitzgerald, got a bit of a nudge, free kick.
Well, there's been a couple of things, and James has picked it up beautifully. Biglan's just a bigger presence or a bigger body who started to cause some spillage in the middle. It's given the opportunity for Rashudo to start imposing himself, and McLeod across half forward. Just far more dangerous setup for Adelaide down there, and you can see the rest of the Adelaide players lift in themselves and start to run a bit harder at the footy. That was silly play from a Western Bulldogs point of view.
Aaron James off, Rowan Smith on as Fitzgerald lines up for goal. Within a comfortable range, no question there. Kick swinging left to right. Goal. Crows are back in it.
He couldn't believe he got straight through to me. He thought he'd get a computer.
If you'd rather speak to a real person, call Amy on 13 22 44.
They're working really hard here from the defensive 50. Finds some space in the open. Spears out a slick hand pass. Oh, champagne football. They're away again. This is beautiful to watch.
Golden draft, thanks. Just to point the difference. Very entertaining first round clash. Let's go down to Michael Roberts on the boundary.
Yes, as we're right. Chris Grant has gone to the back right now.
Okay.
I think that was Chris Grant to the back line, if you didn't quite get that.
Well done by Simon Goodwin, hands and knees. Now Nathan Bassett, the handball game that the Adelaide Footy Club are famous for, starting to work. Nigel Smart kicks, looking for Burton. Beautiful recovery. Steps around. Shot on goal. Magnificent. Brett Burton's got his second. The Adelaide Crows have got the lead.
Brett Burton and Andrew McLeod are putting on a bit of a clinic here when it comes to goal scoring. How exciting are those 2 players? And if they're close enough to goals, if you can afford to keep those 2 fellows within goal scoring distance, then they make something happen out of nothing. That's just exceptional football. Stuck between 3 Western Bulldogs players, including Chris Grant, who's down there to try and stem this flow of goals. Then they are an exciting unit when you see McLeod and Burton in action. And actually, Nigel Smart has gone down there, and this is terrific coaching by Gary Ayres. Just so Chris Grant says, well, now I've got an opponent to go to, and it still allows the rest of their players, while they're on a roll, to be 1 out. Good coaching. They're on fire, the Crows.
So the Adelaide Crows back in front for the first time since the 6-minute mark of the first quarter. Exciting run of goals. Dimatina receives the handball. This will put the Bulldogs back in front. Dimatina has nailed it. Well, that ends 4 consecutive goals from the Crows, and Dimatina responds, and Gian Siracusa has trouble with his left shoulder.
Well, it's a wonderful response as well as Terry Wallace and his boys start to swing a few changes. It looks like Harrison comes off, and the first game of Hargraves coming back on, and maybe he's going to go to Burton. But a lovely finish from Dimatina. They just had to win a ball out of the middle. They'd been smashed through the middle. Goodwin and Rashudo and Biglan's had started to dominate through the middle of the ground, so someone had to step up, and it was a terrific result for them at the end.
Seesawing encounter at Colonial Stadium. Exactly what you expect. A game at this ground. The roof closed. Skill level very high. Brett Biglan's has a run at it. Brings it to ground. Kane Johnson been terrific. Climbed high, free kick. They may pay advantage. If they do, Andrew McLeod's got the ball. He's about 60 metres out. Goes in search of a marking player in shell and finds that man. Well done. Beautiful kick, as you would expect from Andrew McLeod. And the young forward starting to make his presence felt.
And no coincidence that it's all come as a result of winning the ball out of the middle, and having someone like Andrew McLeod set things up. Again, he was involved in that passage of play. Goodwin, I think it was, in the middle of the ground that got the free, finds its way to the hands of this man.
Shell kicked the first goal of the game, and I don't think he's going to add to it. He's pulled that to the left. Beautiful camera angle of it there, and that's through for a behind. All tied up, 55 apiece.
Kane Johnson, the leading possession winner from an Adelaide point of view, had 16 touches, 5 clearances. Scotty West doing likewise for the Dogs, 14 touches and 8 clearances. Johnson, one of those players who can find as much space as anyone I've seen for a long time in footy, and that's just for the quarter.
Hit outs in the quarter there. You see Adelaide dominating out of the middle, backing up what Gary had to say. Crediuk has got the ball on half-back, back to Robbins. Going to get a chat with Doc Larkins in a moment about Gian Syracuse from the shoulder as Brown accepts the mark on half-back. Doc, what do you think, holding the left shoulder, Gian Syracuse?
Yeah, Brian, I think he's got a little bit of an AC joint collarbone twinge there. They've left him out there to watch how he goes.
Punch away there by Adelaide, right in front of the interchange areas. You can see the players warming up in the background. 55 points apiece. The 22-minute mark of this second quarter. There he is, Gian Syracuse. Ball knocked down, Biglan's beautiful. Another removable ball from a ball-up contest. Rashudo, McLeod. 40 metres. This one won't go home. In fact, it'll be almost out of bounds on the full. Might have been touched. No, behind. So a 1-point lead to the Adelaide Crows.
Rashudo again at a stop play, at a boundary throw-in that gets that much of the footy. And McLeod again. So that's where the big money players are, and they are starting to deliver.
There's very few players more exciting in the AFL than number 23 for the Adelaide Footy Club. He is a terrific advertisement for all that's great about this game. Chris Grant has a run at that one. Can't reel the mark in. Ball back on the ground. A real swing in this game in the last 10 minutes. Adelaide starting in close to work a lot harder.
Rashudo, 8 possessions for the game, just starting to get busy. Scott West held him in the first quarter, starting to have an impact on this game.
So, another stop play. 1 point the margin. Almost pushed out there was Bandy. No free kick. Now it's with McLeod. Steps around inside the 50. Squares it beautifully. Burton in best position. They fly from behind. Well done, Croft. And he takes a very nice mark.
Off to Robbins. Gian Syracuse found space right on the boundary line. It was an inch-perfect kick. And the youngster has worked a long way from his forward line to the back half of the ground. Kick out to Dimitina, punched away. Perry has played in the last 14 games straight for the Adelaide Crows. Perry. See Matthew Clark there. Biglands has come on and replaced him and done a wonderful job. Clark is doing a good job as well. Boundary throw-in. Doug Hawkins' wing, side of the ground. Biglands, West. Just looking for the safety of the boundary line, perhaps missing Gian Syracuse in doing so. And we'll have another boundary throw-in. So a 1-point lead to the Adelaide Crows. They have kicked 5 of the last 7 goals in a withering burst of football in this second quarter. Darcy, West, Rashudo, they've followed each other all day. Johnson. Get the feeling the Bulldogs would just be happy to see a few over-the-line plays.
Yeah, they would, and here's the matchup between these two players, West and Rashudo. And tightened up a little bit, hasn't it? Rashudo was getting spanked early, but West still getting plenty of footy.
They bring it away now, the Western Bulldogs. Tumbling kick to half forward. Well done there by Nathan Brown to work his opponent Edwards under the ball. Gets it going forward. Smith taken high, no free kick. Tyson Edwards steps around a couple and, as always, uses the ball very coolly. Ben Hart, he's lifted. His kick to half forward. Searching kick for Stevens. Good kick. Sliding chest mark. Mark Stevens with the ball. Goes long. 2-on-1 here. Good match up there for Adelaide. Fitzgerald ends up with the ball. But that was always going to work for the Adelaide forward setup. And this tall man is starting to make his presence felt.
Well, and also there's a player who is struggling just a bit at the moment in the back half for the Dogs, and that's Trent Bartlett. And if Adelaide can identify that, maybe get Fitzgerald one out inside that 50, particularly close to goal, then he could get on the end of a couple.
He's kicked one. This to stretch it to 7 points. Well, the Dogs were wasteful in the first term. It has to be said that Adelaide have been a little lately. 2 points the margin.
Just their inefficiency inside. It's got better Adelaide. They've been inside 50 28 times for 16 shots at goal. The Dogs have been inside 50 only 20 times. They had almost the same amount of shots at goal, 15.
4.5 minutes left in the quarter for the Dogs to do something. Robbins plays on from fullback, drills the ball, bullet light. Elvie, who had a great patch earlier on, has quietened down in recent time. Prediop came on the ground in this quarter. Johnson fires the ball inside 50. Bandy could do nothing in the air. Gian Siracusa. West clever. Gian Siracusa grabs. Now this is the opportunity that the Bulldogs have been looking for. A break in play, a shot on goal by their skipper. And boy, if they ever need one to register.
Nice play here. It's heads-up play there by Scotty West. A lot of players would have been pinged for giving a free kick away there. But Chris Grant, who's taken his 4th mark, psychologically, from a Western Bulldogs point of view, they've probably dominated the game for almost all of it, except for a 10-minute patch. They'd like to go in at half-time with their nose in front, I think. So, pretty big kick in the context of this match, 27.5 minutes into the second quarter.
Well, this goal from Grant, as we have a look at it, from the angle there.
Reverse angle.
Grant comes in, kick on its way, beautiful. Just across the face, the last 10 or 15 metres of its travel.
The tone, Brian, I'm sorry, I apologise.
And a minor score there, 8-8, 56 the Bulldogs, closing within a point of the Crows.
Ben Hart to bring it back in. It did look good off the boot. He goes sideways, and that's right on the money. Tyson Edwards has got the ball. He's had 10 possessions, been busy. You said it earlier in the call, Gary Lyon, an underrated player in the Adelaide mix. There's a perfectly rated player, one of the stars. Mark Prosciutto goes back to Tyson Edwards. He can run now, set it up. Drop punt going forward, looking for Burton. Brought to the front, Kingsley Hunter, read it well, got it to Bandy. Now West, long handball from that player. Nathan Brown steps around. Have to flood back the Adelaide Crows. Short kick from Brown, beautiful. Wonderful kick, and he finds his skipper. Too far out to score. Kick and a half from goal.
Haven't got the options they had earlier in this quarter, have they? They've just tightened up a bit, Adelaide.
Robbins spotted. 60 out. He's going to go short again, and that's poor checking.
Having said that, all of a sudden it just comes undone a little bit, and Brett Burton, I think you'll find, is the man opposed to Ryan Hargraves. Burton was across the other side of the ground, trying to cover another opposition player, so give him a rap, one opens up.
Distance certainly won't be an issue. The reverse angle of this shot on goal, and he has pulled that a long way to the left. Brian Taylor shaking his head.
No run-up, no fluency there, James, no sort of forward motion to get the line right.
From a centurion goal kicker in years gone by.
Gary lines for Ryan Hargrave as Bassett breaks clear and thumps it into the centre of Colonial Stadium. West tries to get a little clever. Smart ends up with the ball. Now it's with McLeod. He can work something here. Kicks inside the 50, looking for Fitzgerald. Could have been interfered with. He has been tripped from behind. And he will take the free kick.
I'll tell you what we're seeing is that Tony Liberatore has been the bravest of brave players for the Western Bulldogs. But at age 34 or 5, to ask him to run with Andrew McLeod, who is absolutely sizzling hot, that is just too much. They've got to find someone else for McLeod because he's making poor old Liber feel every one of those 34 or 5 years of age.
8 free kicks to 6 in favour of the Western Bulldogs. It was 5-1 at one stage, so they've closed up. And this one is going to result on a shot on goal. I think it was there. Fitzgerald kicks through that beautifully. Goal. They're out by 6, the Crows.
The future of football is here. AFL on 9 and Adelaide's National 9 News. It's a whole new ball game in 2002. We bring you more than just a game. Get the inside stories from your home teams with Adelaide's National 9 News. James Brayshaw and Kim Dillon.
After full time, get the full story on National 9 News.
For him. Matthew Croft there with the goal kicker Fitzgerald. As we move into the last minute and a half. Darcy, McLeod, danger, danger, danger. Kick inside 50. Robbins got on the end of it for the Bulldogs.
Well, under pressure because they're winning out of the middle at the moment, the Crows, and that puts pressure on, and they're under siege a bit, the Bulldog defence.
Smith, the loose man on over the top. Jordan McMahon from school football in Adelaide last year. Year before, in fact. McLeod, John Cock there as well. Walsh. And in the meantime, the umpire says bring it back. It'll be a throw, and the Bulldogs, Liberatore, will get the free kick. So a minute to go in the game. Bulldogs need to do something. Good courage shown by Perry there.
Wasn't it courageous?
And he will be rewarded with the free kick. Crowd didn't like it. It was there. It was good. John Cock gets the ball wide. Advances. Here they go once again. This time through Nelson, the former Blue. Has delivered to Burton. He's come a long way up from his ground, up from half forward for his 10th possession. Burton with just 30 seconds left in the game. Kick inside 50. Dimatina didn't mark it. Rashudo. Fitzgerald, Croft. Pressure period of play here for the Bulldogs. They cannot afford to concede a goal. Hunter gets it out of trouble out wide. Penny couldn't mark. They've got 10 seconds to do something here. The Crows, they need to mark this. Oh, he does. Roberts goes up. Two Crows players wide, prostrate on the ground. And that will end the half.
Oh, gee, Brian, I've got to tell you, if we can get another shot of that, I'm sure we will be at half-time. That is what makes our game of AFL football the great game that it is. All three of those blokes that went at that footy are up on their feet. All three. Have a look at this. Biglands, Robbins, Rashudo. That is fantastic. That makes you feel good about footy from where I sit. And Robbins is just a small bloke. Biglands has got the big body, and we know what Rashudo's like. So it's 6 points the difference at half-time. There'll be some sore boys in there, but doesn't it make you feel good about AFL footy?
All three absolutely committing their body there. Gary Ayres would be a very, very happy man seeing his team kick 6 goals to the Bulldogs 4 in that quarter. And at half-time, it is the Bulldogs leading 8-9-57 to the Adelaide Crows 9-9-63. We'll be back to talk the game over after the break.
Yeah, Ron, I know this news break is brought to you by Bank SA Business Banking Online. That's not the problem.
Good afternoon. Crowds are gathering in London to mourn the passing of the Queen Mother, who died peacefully in her sleep last night at the grand age of 101. Her daughter, the Queen, was by her side. Although not entirely unexpected, her death was a shock all the same, the oldest ever royal, a true family favourite. And now her immediate family is gathering at Windsor, including Prince Charles and his sons William and Harry. Australia has sent its condolences, and tonight at 6 will pay tribute to the Queen Mum and remember the 2 visits she made here to Adelaide.
They've been friends for years.
Colonial Stadium, half-time here in what has been an entertaining first half of football. It did look at one stage, halfway through the second quarter, that maybe the Bulldogs would pull away to a pretty comfortable lead. But it just stepped up a notch or two, and there were some wonderful players that came to the party. The score here, it's been reversed. They were down a goal at quarter time, the Crows. They now lead by a goal on the back of some wonderful individual efforts. But as we have a look at the highlights, or the goal scorers rather, Brian Taylor, it was turned around on the back of some pretty good play by Andrew McLeod. But first of all, the Bulldogs goals.
Yes,
scorers.
McLeod and Burton were the 2 players there. You see Nathan Brown and Brad Johnson with 2 goals apiece. Gian Siracusa missed a pretty easy attempt at 1-2. Garlic, Elvie and Dimatina all 1. Ryan Fitzgerald has created problems for the Bulldog defence with 2.
McLeod 2, Burton 2 as well.
And we mentioned some of the playmakers for the Adelaide Crows. Andrew McLeod was just sensational in that second quarter. He turned it around. Liberatore was his opponent, but gee, when he gets going, he and Rashudo and those players, they were able to score goals more freely. And this is the first one in the first quarter, almost on the boundary line, right foot in, and it is a wonderful goal. He is a wonderful player, worth the price of admission just to see him in action.
So clean with his hands, isn't he?
Perry stole one as well, just on a turnover from Crediuk, so they were opportunists on occasions. And then you see this one here, a young fella playing his first game, John Cock it was, and he kicked one. That was the one that probably sparked them a bit. And then the Andrew McLeod show just kicked into overtime. Left foot this time, running away from goal. He was exciting to watch, as was this bloke Burton. Did that in amongst three players and made something out of nothing. So they were the players that sparked them and got them back into the game.
And of course the Bulldogs were, they kicked 4 goals in that second quarter. They weren't out of it. They were in there amongst the lead. But Nathan Brown was an important player. You see that in the first quarter he kicked 2 goals. That was the last of them for the Bulldogs. Daniel Bandy, the kicker there, has been an important part of the Bulldogs lineup. Young G in Syracuse, a lot to like about him. He's multi-skilled on both sides of his body, as you saw with that goal attempt there. Garlick, just a wise old head there. He knows exactly what's going on, where to go to get the ball as he hands off to Johnson. Now, Johnson had an option here to kick it short to the lead or go over the top of the lead, of which he did in the end from 50 metres. The resultant goal there, as you see as well. And Dimatina, of course, always dangerous around goal on both feet. That side on the left foot.
Needed one late, and he was able to provide that. One of the great clashes so far, and I enjoy watching two good players play against each other. West against Rashudo, and they've been by each other's side. Scotty West early in the piece probably took Rashudo to the cleaners a little bit and started to get his hands on it, but Gary Ayres was able to just hold his nerve a bit. He got out in space a bit. He's so clever with his feet and hands. He's got terrific endurance, runs super hard, and Mark Rashudo just battled a little bit with him. Then as the game wore on, Rashudo started to find the football, and he was one of the sparks that got them back into the game. As you see there, Scotty West off the footy there by some 10 or 15 metres, hands on shoulders. He tried to get on to McLeod just to try and mix it up a little bit, but they keep working hard. Rashudo started to find the footy, McLeod started to find the football.
You could probably say 1 quarter each there. West probably won the first quarter, Rashudo won the second.
It was, we mentioned just before half-time, a big clash, eyes on the footy. This is what the game had turned into at the end of the day, and this is the one here. Let's watch Rashudo and Robbins and Big Biglands coming back. Now, all three of these players got back up off the turf. This will be the one that Dr. Peter Larkins will need to keep an eye on during the half-time break. Let's have a look at some of the match stats, and what can you pick out of that, Brian?
Well, the kicks and handballs pretty even, so not much in the disposal department. The hit-outs is the big one there, Gary. Have a look at that. Bigland's come onto the ground late. Matthew Clark was good early, 21-8, and make no mistake about it, that is where the Adelaide Crows were winning in the second half of that second quarter. Centre breaks there, pretty even. Clearances, 18-15. Not a lot in it, but as you see, a pretty good effort from the Crows in that second quarter.
They do go inside 50 a lot, Adelaide, and they just started to get value for money from it towards the latter half of that second quarter. So pretty tight game here, a goal the difference at half-time. We'll take a break, be back to some of the highlights of the big game up in Sydney, and we'll take a look at the big match here at Colonial Stadium, the Western Bulldogs.
Monday on Malcolm. Welcome to your worst day, Mayor.
I am taking breakfast off the table in 5 minutes. Under this kiss, his mom wakes him up with a kiss on the forehead.
Wake up to Malcolm, 8 o'clock Monday on 9.
The official AFL Carlton Draft Mark and Goal of the Year kicks off next week in round 2. Be watching the Sunday Footy Show next week for all the details.
Footy songs for the Aussie bloke. Footy songs for the Aussie bloke. Score yourself a copy now.
When
When you really want to stand out from the crowd, visit Graham's for stunning diamond rings from $999 and the Graham's Platinum Collection from $1,499. Graham's Jewelers.
Footy fans, if you have the passion, we have the power. The power needs you to cheer them to victory in 2002, and the smartest way to do it is with a season ticket. Prices start at $110 for adults and $39 for children for 11 home games, including Showdown 12. For all inquiries and to get the best deal for you and your family, ring the Power Hotline now on 8447 9900. Don't waste your passion. See the game live. Ring 8447 9900 now.
Bring it on! National Youth Week, 7th to the 14th of April.
It's a good chance for everyone to celebrate either just being a young person or celebrate the contribution that young people make and the fact that young people are part of our community.
Run by young people, for young people. Be part of it.
Rock it, shoot it, ride it, design it.
Hi, we're Eskimo Joe, and we're here to support National Youth Week. So check out the website and see what you can do.
Be part of it.
Check out the website. Give it a go. Vote online for the competition finalists.
The Footy Show for the truth.
And who would you think would be the most unlikely two people that you wouldn't want to have on a flyer?
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
It's great you calling Collingwood games because if you're getting tailed, you can't leave.
Thursday night, 9:30.
Easter Sunday football here at Colonial Stadium sees the Adelaide Crows in front by just a goal at half-time against the Western Bulldogs, and as I said earlier, it did appear at one stage through that second quarter that the Western Bulldogs might blow Adelaide out of the water, but some pretty important players came to the party, James.
What about that for a day for those little kids? Gazza would have had some Easter eggs. Now they're coming to Colonial Stadium to watch the footy. It's fantastic. You made a great comment earlier, I think. Every time Andrew McLeod gets involved in a game of footy, it tends to turn around. And he was wonderful. But some of the other ball carriers for the Crows also got involved. Ben Hart across halfback started to find a little bit of it. And, you know, those premiership players, Johnson, Goodwin. And once they do, it tends to start going Adelaide's way. Having said that, they're only up by a goal.
They are. And Rick Biglands, you mentioned, also came onto the ground and made a big impact, had a big impact straight away.
Because he charged in, didn't he? I mean, the other two were sort of playing off each other a bit, which is probably their style. Whereas Biglands, obviously under instruction from the coach, came crashing in. Suddenly things started to go Adelaide's way. They were very good.
Well, they're back in it, no doubt about that. In fact, they're up by a goal. There is another big game on at the moment, and it is up in Sydney between the reigning premiers Brisbane up against the Sydney Swans, welcoming big Tony Lockett and Barry Hall into their side. Let's have a look at the highlights of the first half of the big game between Sydney and Brisbane.
And Boss and Crouch are going together. McDonald knocks down Black, handle over the top. Chance here for Alistair Lynch. One way, then the other. Twists out of trouble and kicks the goal. Brisbane Lions, 3 in a row. Calling dispute, centre half forward for Sydney. O'Loughlin inside 50. Goods lurking. Handball up. Williams around the body. Is a goal. Finally, the Swans on the board. He is shorter. Not a bad tactic if it continues to work. Brown swoops on this one. Barry nowhere in sight. Voss slaps it forward. Copeland, left foot kick to the goal square. It's wobbling. It's way. Goal! Brown said the umpire, and it's to the Swans' advantage. Chips the ball in Hall's direction. That pitch got a fingernail on ball. Williams, 50 from goal. You can see the 50 arc. Chip kick next. Just travelled 15 according to the umpire. No angle for Nix. The distance the worry. Drop punt. Distance is no worry. Goal to the Swans. Fosdyke, 45 metres out. Lockett. He was almost held. He is held. And here's what we've been waiting for.
No emotion on that face. It's matter of fact, isn't it? But this will be sweet for him. He hasn't done this for quite some time.
Bugger's most famous kick, of course, was a behind. When he kicked the Swans into their first grand final.
Was too.
He has the record, 1,357 goals. The mathematicians love the number because it's a nice progression of prime numbers to remember. He might spoil it. He does. Plugger is back.
That's let's just soak up the moment here with Tony Lockett.
Plugger is back indeed at the SCG. He's back on the board now. We have a half-time score. If you don't want to know the score, we suggest you just look away now. So Tony Lockett and Barry Hall in action up there at Sydney. We've got a game on our hands here at Colonial Stadium. Just a goal of difference at half-time. We'll be back with all the second half action right here on AFL on 9.
It's the one night she can't remember. Drugged, then photographed. But why?
Harry Love had you drugged.
As the news tightens on the man who set her up,
I think you might want to shut the door.
he drops a bombshell.
So that was why I was at the motel.
The photographs. What they show is so damning.
I don't know what I'm going to do here, Pete.
It turns her friends against her and causes the biggest surprise of all.
Is that why you pushed into the path of that car?
A very special episode of Stingers, 9:30 Tuesday on 9.
Back. Game over.
It's on again! No deposit, interest-free for an incredible 24 months. It's no deposit and interest-free on furniture, dining, bedding, lounge, everything. 24 months, interest-free and absolutely no deposit. Hurry and soon, only at McCaw News.
Footy songs for the Aussie bloke. Songs for the Aussie bloke. Score yourself a copy now.
Lots of us would like to be more active. The problem is getting started.
Hey, there he is.
Joining a club or team is a great way to get yourself fired up about exercise and a great incentive to stay involved. So be an active Australian, participate and feel great.
You are in the future, now, in the new Monaro, just released. It gives you, now, what other cars wish they could. Like lines that get better looking every minute. Like a new optional all-Australian V8 engine with big, lazy power that drives these wider-track wheels wherever you dare to go. Like soft, secure bucket seats, and much more. The new Monaro, imported straight from the future. In 1968, Holden put their new Monaro on the moon. This year, it's back on Earth in the National Motor Museum, Bedford. Monaro Mania, the history of an Australian motoring icon. Now's the time to go Monaro.
Only the smartest, strongest, most cunning survivors remain.
These people aren't civilised.
And now the ultimate challenge.
I'm here.
It's 1 against 1 as tribes merge.
You swear to God you said that.
A new game has just
I'm a
begun.
little bit scared about what's going on.
Wednesday, 10 Aussies are about to shock you. But which one has got what it takes to win?
Chili the crash and burn.
Yeah, sneaky.
I wish you'll go really well.
A new game, a better game. See it for yourself. Survivor returns 8:30 Wednesday on 9.
Hope you're enjoying your Easter Sunday. Go easy on the chocolate eggs. It is the Adelaide Crows, 9-9-63, leading the Western Bulldogs, 8-9-57. You get the feeling this may go right down to the wire. Let's go down to the boundary, though, with Michael Roberts and Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yes, Gary, that incident with Robbins, Bickmans and Risciuto, that clash, Gary Ayres couldn't wait to get into the dressing rooms. He went out to the huddle, and I caught the words, that's why we play football. So really committed stuff there. He is there. You can see the eyeballs and having a real good word to his players before he went into the dressing rooms. Now, Mark Risciuto, we saw actually get up hobbling, but Doc Larkins, there, I think there's a little bit more to that early in the quarter.
But halfway through the second quarter, guys, Mark Risciuto got a little bit of knock on the left leg, was hobbling, but that tangle of legs when he landed, he's come down, he's wrenched the ankle, Gary, and Mark Rasciuto will not play the rest of the day. Hasn't come out from half-time, so no more Rasciuto with the ankle injury as a result of that incident. We see him go down. Again, just watch him come down, gets caught up in the tangle of legs, the body weight falls. He does get up, but was quite uncomfortable, and Mark Rasciuto finished for today.
Huge news. Well, that is big news. Thanks very much, Dr. Peter Larkins and Michael Roberts down on the boundary. That is a big blow. Rasciuto's had 11 touches in the first half. He'd taken 3 marks, and he, along with Goodwin and also McLeod, had got the Adelaide Crows back into this game halfway through the second quarter. So, a blow. Brian Roberts. That is Brian Taylor will do, Gary. I'm very sorry. That is a blow for the Adelaide Crows.
Well,
I'm sorry.
the thing that worries you is that he went on to play a great second half of that second quarter, and now he's not there at all. So things must have really cooled down in the rooms and made him a little bit stiff, James Brayshaw.
Oh, that final collision might have just been the icing on the cake for it, BT.
Could well have been.
Either way, he's not out here. We get the restart going. Dimatina, push from behind, no free kick. McLeod, finger tipper. He couldn't control it. Umpire letting it go. Goodwin gets it going the Crows' way, and Mark Bickley, full-chested, takes the mark. Handball off to Dowdy. Long searching kick. Fitzgerald, best place, can't hang on. Now it's Goodwin. Stevens. Johnson, standing start, surrounded. Comes down to Tyson Edwards. He has a crack and gets hold of it nicely. It may have gone through. Let's wait on the goal umpire. I think it's good. It is. His first. Wonderful finish and the perfect start to the term for Adelaide.
Well, look, it was almost in slow motion, wasn't it? The players there coming back after the half-time break. It was a contest up at the full forward line. It's just a couple of slow little handballs. That fumble there from Johnson, able to pick it up. Just found his way through the pack, and I really like Tyson Edwards. I think he does a wonderful job, can play back forward or in the midfield, and that's a terrific start. Without Mark Rasciuto, the skipper, to get that first goal in the third quarter is a terrific result. I just wonder whether McLeod is they're going to persist with Liberatore on McLeod or not. It becomes a big task for him already. He's had his hands on the footy.
Well, that's the way it is at the moment. In the middle, Edwards almost getting a second possession on end. Curses himself there, just off to the right as you saw. The golden opportunity. Darcy, slow to get back to his feet. As we wait for the obligatory second ball up in the middle of the ground. Darcy, Biglands, finished off the quarter so well after replacing Clark. And he'll have another ball up.
Not too many positional changes during the half. Mark Bickley has gone to half forward for the Adelaide Crows, so that would be unfamiliar territory for him. But apart from that, it's pretty much status quo as you were.
McMahon, Harrison and Bartlett the bench there. Biglands, beautiful palm down. Bulldogs have got 3. A desperate West dives on the ball. Soccer off the ground, Dimatina into no man's land. Smart leads the chase. Grant hovering. Over the top, Perry. Just not the easiest of handballs, so they've found a bit of space and they've broken up the ground to get the loose man. Biglands.
He thumps it to centre half forward. Stevens edged under the footy there by Kingsley Hunter. At ground level, Burton does okay. Throws the handball out to Mark Bickley. He steps around, 55 from goal. Kicks it to the hot spot, or probably just a little beyond the hot spot. Courageous mark taken by Rowan Smith. Terrific mark. And he goes in short and finds Bandy at half-back for the Western Bulldogs. Drop punt looking for Darcy. Well done by McLeod to get a fist in there. Liberatore at ground level. Little legs pumping. Soccers it off the ground. Chris Grant's claimed. He shovels the handball out. Only as far as Kane Johnson. Ben Hart now with the ball. Ian Perry, who's been very good on the wing. Handballs to Tyson Edwards, the goal kicker. Left foot inside the 50 will favour Burton. Drops what he should have taken. Now he tries some one-handed magic. Too many dogs around for that, and Hargraves will step away with the footy.
Oh, did wonderfully well, Hargraves, through heavy traffic. Liberatore, one-on-one with McLeod. McLeod just retreats and corrals him into the corner, so he's forced to kick high over the pack. Got it to Alvey. Grant now. Could have ran inside 50, unselfishly delivers to the better angle that Dimatina was on, and he'll line up the goal 30 metres out.
A great kick and a great finish at the end, but Brett Burton will be ruining his opportunities down there. An easy mark dropped and the rebound came, worked its way along the wing here, and Chris Grant is as good a user of the football as anyone in the competition.
Dimatina has already kicked one goal. Be a great start for the Bulldogs. In he comes, normally reliable. This time, no exception. Dimatina nails the first of the second half for the Bulldogs.
First time I fired a live missile was the biggest buzz of my life, having this $75,000 missile just sitting on my shoulder. It's all about hand-eye coordination. I've got all goosebumps and the adrenaline starts rushing, and then you fire and then you hit the target, and it's just like the best thing. You know, you're actually doing your job and what you're trained for. That is the best feeling in the world when you can say, I know I can do the job when it came down to the crunch.
So we're back to a 6-point ball game. A goal apiece to start this second half. Bigland's full-chested again at it. Tries to find Simon Goodwin. Now Tyson Edwards is beset upon. Western Bulldogs with the numbers, but it comes out the back to Mark Bickley. Just throws it in the McLeod direction. Brown was the first one there. Now he's got to go and get his own ball, Brown, and kicks it across the line. Probably a good result.
Great result. There's one out against 3, James, as he was covering the territory there, so out of bounds is a terrific result.
Very talented young man, Nathan Brown. And he did very well. There's the top 5 disposal getters. Kane Johnson was terrific. So was Scott West, Brown, Robbins and Stevens. So Nathan Brown not only doing things like that, also getting plenty of the ball.
Rowan Smith has now lined up on Kane Johnson, who just continually found himself in space in that first half for the Adelaide Crows. So just gives him something to think about now, Johnson, because if he gives Smith too much room, he can really hurt you on the scoreboard.
6 points in favour of the Adelaide Crows early third quarter. Bounce was a shocker. It was that bad, it was out of picture. Handball over the top. The running West. One of the gun midfielders in the competition. Good long ball, Johnson. Couldn't hang on. He had great position under that. Hart just tidies up at the back of the pack for the Crows and finds his premiership teammate in Kane Johnson.
He works hard. You've got to give him credit. That's why he finds so much space, Kane Johnson, but he does cover the ground.
Smart. Got rid of it in time. That's the danger zone. Sent forward. Burton just jumped into the pack with disregard for his body. Bickley shovels out the handball. Stevens, little unsure. Took a little bit too long to get rid of it. Hargrave dished off the lightning handball. Robbins. Stevens. Welsh in there trying hard. Bickley looking for the free kick. Good tackle there by Matthew Robbins.
Let's give the umpire a rap. I think he umpired that passage of play really well. You won't hear that from me too often, but just didn't give the Tiggy Touchwood one away. Great efforts by Scotty Welsh. 2 tackles from a forward like that you just love. And then the chance was to perhaps give a soft one to Mark Bickley, but he also resisted.
So from the stop, well done, Nigel Smart. Tried to get it to Tyson Edwards. He's claimed again, and we're going to do it all again.
Nigel might have grown a bit of head of hair there. I think it might have been Brett Burton, James. But
Brett Burton, apologies, Nigel.
No, it was a terrific leap.
Or perhaps apologies, Brett Burton. Nigel might have been happy with the mention. Brett Bigland's to the ground. He has been very impressive since coming on the ball. Well done, Liberatore. Terrific work from him. Got it to Robbins. Short kick was fantastic. Daniel Bandy on the end of it. Got some very talented mid-range players, the Western Bulldogs. Robbins is one of them. Krediuk now on the wing.
Had so many options in the first half, or first quarter and a half, and it just dried up a bit for the Bulldogs.
Chris Grant finding the footy, starting to get some touch. Has missed so much, the champ. He's had 9 possessions and took a very clever mark there. Squares it. Gian Siracusa. He brings it around his body and does it very nicely to Aaron James.
Don't you love watching players that can use the ball as well as that? Daniel Gian Siracusa. And James called it absolutely right. Chris Grant starting to get his timing right. He just was able to body Nigel Smart under the footy then, and that's a really good sign. But I love this kick from Gian Siracusa.
First possession for the club, Aaron James. He's a lovely kick, James. Have a look at this. He's the best set shot kick in the club. That's what happened.
I might leave you with that one, BT. It's hit the post, so it was swinging back, and it wasn't far away. A very journeyed footballer, Aaron James, that he popped up and did a good job during the Wizard Cup. Let's go down to the Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, Kingsley Hunter just still running around there. Just copped a bit of a corky about 2 or 3 minutes ago, and the Bulldogs just hoping they can run around still.
Doc Larkins at boundary side. Stengline. Hart done all the kicking in from fullback today. Handball risky. Always putting Perry under pressure with the loop in the ball. Liberatore, kick smothered. I tell you what, the opening 9 or 10 minutes of this third quarter has been ferocious from both sides.
And it's such a critical stage of the game, isn't it? There's the effective handballs, the Crows just in front there, but it's an arm wrestle right now, and whichever side gives in the next 10 minutes, it might be a match-leading break for the opposition.
Goal apiece in this third quarter. 5-point lead of the Crows. Bulldogs forward line. Elby. Left foot shot to the line. Did it cross? Umpire said nope. Touched right on the line. 9-11-65 the Bulldogs. Adelaide 10-9-69 as we look at the replay of Mark Elby trying to underground one through for a goal.
They bring it away now, the Crows. Biglands has got it in the centre of the ground, and they've got some options. Breaking. One of them is Doughty on the outer side. He's got Turf in front of him, really should find a target. And the kick was a little too strong. Robbins able to do the mopping up. A free kick's been picked out. It's going to go the Dogs' way to Penny.
Gee, young Michael Doughty had Brett Burton on then. He had him loose. All he had to do was find him with the target 15 metres away, and missed opportunity.
Penny to relieve now for the Western Bulldogs. Perry, handball back to Doughty. Couldn't reel it in. He's claimed. We'll have a bounce right half forward to the Crows.
Welcome to league footy for the youngster. Just finding out what it's like in the big time. You don't get much time, you don't get much of a chance, and the possessions that you do get, you've got to make work for you. So it'll be a lesson well learned.
Doughty there had a hip problem for most of last year. Umpire Ellis balling up on the half-forward line for the Crows. Biglands. McLeod. Wonderful. Goodwin. 45 metres missed. Left-hand side. Golden opportunity squandered there by Goodwin. 70 plays 65. 5-point lead for the Adelaide Crows.
They look much better when Simon Goodwin starts finding the ball. Kane Johnson, Andrew McLeod. So much talent in that Adelaide midfield, as there is with the Western Bulldogs. It's a treat to watch two midfields working so well. Handball over the top from West, found Kingsley Hunter. He goes again. Now it's Dimatina. Can go inside the 50. Searching kick. Chris Grant just edged under it. Nathan Bassett with a fumble. But they managed to recover the Adelaide defence. And Nigel Smart does very nicely. Long ball now to Burton. The counter-attack can go by hand to Goodwin. The handball was bad, but he gets it back. And now takes a flying shot on goal. But I think he's pushed it to the right. In fact, they do well to keep it in, the Adelaide attacking zone players. But well done, Croft. Full-chested brings it away.
The old stager playing his 150th game, Matthew Croft. Got it to the youngster, Brown. Wide to Darcy. Left foot kick under enormous pressure on the boundary line. Good mark has been taken by Bandy. Exciting contest we've got here at Colonial Stadium today between two teams that are really having a red-hot go. Bandy getting instructions from his captain, Grant. He's right on the boundary line. He'll have to kick at 48, and this will be right on the limits of what he is capable of. Bandy hoists to the square. Smart, the flying leap. I don't think it was touched in the pack. Minor score. Bulldogs within 4 points, Gary.
Daniel Bandy had a shot from there, similar spot in the first quarter, and we said that, you know, kicking to the last line doesn't really help you. Well, that was a bit better. Maybe need to be another 5 metres out to get a genuine contest at the top of the square.
Crows release the ball quickly to Andrew McLeod, and his kick, as usual, very good. Finds Tyson Stengline around the outer side. He goes long in search of Stevens, and he's pushed the kick, and they have just bounced inside the field of play it has.
Chris Grant here. Just cops one on the back of the melon. And it's not the neck anyway, so that's a bonus.
Sort of connected, the head and the neck, Gary.
Oh, it's still on his shoulders. So
I'll be breathing a sigh of relief. The Bulldog faithful. That man's health is important to this club. Perry worked off the ball. Penny, I should say. Now it's with Johnson. Back to McLeod. Short foot pass. Just a little strong for Stevens, but he gets it back. Mark Stevens, shot on goal, misses. So inaccuracy at both ends of the ground. 71 plays 66.
Yeah, it's tight. It is really tight. I mean, both sides have had opportunities to kick goals this quarter. So someone's got to step up to the plate. Someone's got to put their hand up and start kicking these goals and putting a small gap between themselves and the opposition.
Risky kick from Robbins. Didn't find its intended target in Croft. And that has allowed the Adelaide Crows to get another opportunity inside their forward 50.
Burton's long in the square.
Hit just over the top, short, has been marked by Kane Johnson. This has been the quarter of missed opportunities from both sides. Can Kane Johnson do something about that?
It's only the 6th mark they've taken inside 50. The Dogs have been able to take 12, so their ability to spot up a target. Johnson coming in for his 20th touch has been a terrific player. Can he be the man to kick a goal, Brian?
97 and 98 premiership player, Johnson. Just 3 or 4 metres inside the boundary line. Good-looking kick. Just to the near side, though. And no goal.
Not far away from ending up a Tiger. Kane Johnson in that broken down deal with Ben Holland. I think the fans in Adelaide very pleased that he stayed put, because when he's fit, he's one of their very best.
Matthew Robbins took the last kick in, James, and he's relinquished the duties with his effort to Nathan Brown.
Nathan Brown's got it now.
Gee, it's a full zone. It's a full zone employed by Adelaide. All but 3 players involved in it.
Brown called to go. He delivers a long ball. Burton had a fly at it. Kingsley Hunter slipping it over the top. Well done, John Cobb. And he'll deliver inside the 50 and do it very nicely to Simon Goodwin. He can go again to Andrew McLeod if he likes. He hangs onto the ball. You can see the Adelaide players behind him flooding in. Now he's seen something he likes. And again, Kane Johnson with the ball. And he'll go again. 3 players everywhere. Now it's Ian Perry comfortably inside the 50 and not on that great an angle.
A few Western Bulldogs players just turning around and wondering who is marking these players at the moment, because we've got all but 2 players in one half of the ground, and to be able to find 2 loose players in a situation like that just says that their concentration is lapsing.
Important kick this for Ian Perry. He's kicked one, and this will reward some very good work for the Crows. It's there. They lead us by 2.
By the way, insure with Amy and you can get new for old replacement, as well as fast settlement on claims.
It's a red-hot game out there today. A huge pack of players around the football. Someone's got to get it moving. Now he's in the clear. Watch out. Oh, he stopped that very high. A ferocious tackle. Oh!
Golden draft, thanks.
Back here at Colonial Stadium. 66-78 in favour of the Adelaide. A mini break here from the Crows. What can the Bulldogs do in response? Darcy, Biglands, McLeod, lightning hands. Ordinary kick by Johnson has ended up in the hands of Burton.
Gee, out of the middle. How important is it to win that football out of the middle?
Burton will have a shot of this. He will have to kick it from almost right on the 50 line. He's just checking the spot where the man will stand the mark.
11-7 out of the centre, Adelaide's way. And AFL footballers, I think, should kick these goals, Brian.
Burton has kicked 2 of them, Gary. Right on 50. Elevation important. He gets plenty of that. Now it's about the journey. It falls short. Hunter rushes it. No, he did it! No! I don't think he got it across the line, and I think Shell might have kicked the goal. His second. Bad blue on the line by Hunter. Shell's got 2, and that's one the Bulldogs didn't need to let go.
Oh, I'd love to see it again. Ball drops on the goal line like that. Kingsley Hunter had to get it through. Well, that doesn't happen too often, I've got to tell you. So let's just have a look at it. It goes right to the goal line, comes back into play. Hunter doesn't make a good enough contact with the ball. And that's 1 out of nothing. Those ones are just so valuable in a tight game like this.
It's out to 18 points now. Daniel Shell's got his second. Impressive stuff from the Adelaide Crows. And now the Dogs need a response. Stenglein, clean possession. West picks it up. They go forward to centre half forward. Dimatina nudging. Almost ends up with the ball. Garlick claimed.
It'll be a bounce. Centre-half forward, the Western Bulldogs in need of a goal. There's the top 5 possession getters. Kane Johnson, we mentioned so often. Scott West, 2 fine players there. Robbins, Stevens and Nathan Brown. Rounded out. Mark Stevens, probably the only non-on-baller, if you like, on that list. And he has had a lot of it. Look at the players surrounding this stoppage. Throw a blanket over about 20 of them. Ian Perry and Daniel Bandy. One clear by Bandy. Well done. No one on the end of it, though, for the Bulldogs. Working hard is Welch. Robbins claimed in the tackle. Now Wentz has got it. He flicks the handball out, but it's all Adelaide. Tyson Edwards to set upon. Welch jumps back into trouble. Now Tyson Edwards, his kick smothered. Nigel Smart says, I'll have it and I'll clear the area. Big fly from Stevens. Can't reel it in. On the ground, this game has lifted a cog. Bandy overruns it. Western Bulldogs now with a chance. Brett Burton perhaps claimed high, no free kick. Slinging the handball out quickly. Kingsley Hunter, his handball finds the target, and they're away through Albertson.
What a passage of play from the Bulldogs. They're desperate. They realise that this is an opportunity. Robbins runs into goal, misses. They applied so much pressure to the Crows then, like it was their last opportunity. And Robbins on screen there, 21 possessions, 8 rebounds from 50. Missing a golden opportunity.
Kicking goals on the run at full pace is an art, isn't it? And some players are comfortable with it, some aren't. He may be been a bit tired, but gee, it was an important kick.
Nigel Smart drops it over the top to John Cock, who's been impressive in his first game.
Next goal becomes so vital, James, because Adelaide get it, they go out before. Had Robbins kicked that, it tightened back up again. So it's a crucial next goal.
John Cock runs on and dumps it to Burton, who grows in stature. He dishes it off to McLeod. The use of the ball as he gets it to the hot spot, but Croft again. Very nicely done from the veteran, playing his 150th game. And he takes a good contested mark and gets it to Dimatina. Dimatina in short. Gian Syracuse has got the ball. Inboard, won't quite get to the target of Penny, but he's got plenty of time to steady. Looks for his captain and finds him at centre-half forward. Steps around the champ. Kick underground wasn't great. Tyson Stenglein goes with the boots, but his handball's okay. And Nathan Bassett will see the Crows momentarily out of trouble. His handball went astray, however. Dowdy set a task. Bigland's there as well. Just getting a little untidy as the pressure builds. Pushing the back unseen. Bigland's, did he hang on to it for too long? West, his handball didn't find the target. It's Willing at Colonial Stadium. Now it's Rowan Smith. John Cock didn't take possession because he knew he was going to be beset upon. Now as he hold on to it for too long? No, says the umpire. We'll have a bounce. Left half forward. Pulsating stuff in this third term.
It's a hot footy, and that's what you love to see. Round one, this game very much in the balance. Next goal may even swing it. If Adelaide were to get one, then 4-goal lead going into three-quarter time would be very, very handy.
You get the feeling the Bulldogs know that they must kick the next goal. A red-hot crack. Bouncing, centre wing, Hawkins, wing side of the ground. Perry messed it up. Out wide. Welsh, might have gave a little right to the breadbasket there. Check that later, Bandy. Haven't got time now. Furious game. Robbins. Bandy fights for it ground level. Adelaide Crow player might have got one in the eye and made no attempt to get rid of it because of that fact.
Put the whistle away, the umpire, which is not such a bad thing.
Been fantastic umpiring in this quarter. Just let the players play tough footy. Gin Syracuse comes off for a spell. Harrison on. In the meantime, the Bulldogs go forward. Hunter's got the set, couldn't mark it. Ball to ground. Grant motoring in. Would have been good nine had Grant found body contact there. Boundary throw in forward 50 for the Bulldogs.
Got to stand their ground now. Adelaide, they are being challenged by the Dogs. Let's have a look at this one again. And missed.
But it was missed by much. Nathan Bassett slings it across the line for some relief. Amazing 5 minutes of play. Darcy works it to the back of that boundary throw in. Ben Hart, so much time he has had right since his first game. And he finds Ian Perry at half-back. Perry, dangerous kick. Johnson in front. Spoil from behind came from Goodwin. Garlick at the bottom of all of that. Bickley tries to get the thing going forward. Almost claimed high there was Brown with no free kick. They really have put the whistle away. Surely it's going to have to come out now.
It's great umpiring.
It is, because these two sides are both having a red-hot crack at the moment. Let's have a look at this head-to-head. Stengline against Johnson. Now, 9 touches to 12. That is a big win for the Adelaide Crows. I think he's doing a terrific job, Tyson Stengline, on the Bulldog match winner. He's kicked 2 goals, Brady Johnson, but he's doing a good job.
And being one of the Bulldog form players so far in the pre-season cup. West. Quick kick into open space. Smart attacks. Grant elects to stay back in the goal square, hoping the bounce might have got him and another Bulldog player could get the ball over the top. Didn't eventuate. We'll have a boundary throw in. Right on the forward 50 for the Western Bulldogs. Crowd are into it. We're into it. The umpires and players are certainly into it. A great third quarter of football from both sides. Biglands might have infringed on Darcy, and Darcy will get the free kick. And he can pick the journey from here, Luke Darcy.
Well, Rhett Biglands looks like he's going to break down and cry, the poor fella. He has been terrific. He's turned this game around, and in a game where it's been pretty well let go, to pick one out there may seem harsh, but he did have a hold of his jumper.
He did, but that wasn't umpired in the context of what this quarter has been about, and the umpires have been good until that point.
12 to 8 the free kicks, 12 to the Dogs, 8 to the Crows. This is such a critical kick, Brian.
Yep.
Brian Taylor, that is. 25 and a half minutes into this third quarter. If he kicks this, they're back within 2 goals, and it's an even money bet.
Now, he sometimes throws the ball a little bit too far in front. Reverse angles, look at it here. And he stretches for the ball. Kick on its way. It's beautiful. Kick. Right on the line. The umpire says he's touched it. Luke Darcy falling the metre short. 9:14.68. Crows 12-12-84. What a quarter of football.
6 straight behinds now for the Western Bulldogs. 5, in fact, it is. So the inaccuracy is starting to cost them. McLeod not favoured by the bounce. Kingsley Hunter is. Now he's not favoured by his own bounce. But he's got enough time to pick it up. Squares it to Brad Johnson. Now the dish off to Harrison. Short kick will be good. Rowan Smith's got it just outside the 50.
And with your chance from here, Rowan Smith, I reckon he'll go back and back himself in.
At training the other day, I was here watching Gary, and he was kicking them from inside the centre square, from exactly that position.
On the run, would it be a better chance on the run?
He would, but
he'll be on the run anyway.
The set shot will be just as effective.
He's only had 5 possessions. This is number 6, so he's got a fresh leg, and have a look at that. That has got the journey, and it's got the accuracy. It's there. Goal to the Bulldogs. That's big.
Is back. Game over.
Rowan Smith with a thumping kick. Back within 10 points, the Bulldogs. 27 minutes played in this quarter. There you see it, a minute left, just under, of the third quarter. The quarter of football in season 2002 so far. Lightning hands, sees West go forward. Darcy's in position, so is Grant. Perry was good. Held the front position, pushed it towards the boundary line. The tackle by Smith, he's energised. Ball just goes out of play.
Free kick to Rowan Smith.
He's on the boundary line, Gary. He's got 34 seconds. Distance, if he wanted, wouldn't be a problem, and he got it to Darcy, and we saw Darcy kick one from outside 50 before that went right to the line, so we know he is within the journey.
Couple of inspired pieces of play from Rowan Smith late in the third quarter has got the Western Bulldogs well and truly back into this contest. As I said, he's had a quiet afternoon, but no matter how quiet a game you have, if you can just find something, you can influence the result of a game.
Rowan Smith there with the tackle sees the Dogs leading the tackle count, 37 to Adelaide 27. Three-quarter time sounds. Darcy, important kick to bring the within 4, missed. Offline. Oh, boy. Bad miss after the three-quarter time siren. So the Western Bulldogs 10-15-75 trail the Adelaide Crows 12-12-84. We're going to be back on the other side of the break for what will be a cracking last quarter of football.
The world mourns the Queen Mum, dead at 101. We'll remember her 2 visits.
Yes, it is an emotional game, no question about that. Three-quarter time here at Colonial Stadium, and it is tight. You get the feeling it is going to go right to the wire. It is Adelaide, 12 goals, 12-84, leading the Western Bulldogs 10-15-75, the biggest lead at any of our quarter or half-time breaks. And they just snuck away early in the piece, did the Adelaide Crows. The Bulldogs hit back hard. 2 goals to Johnson, Dimartina and Brown, and for Adelaide, Fitzgerald, McLeod, Shell, Burton and Perry, all multiple goal scorers. So it is tight. It is only 9 points. We can go down to Michael Roberts, who has got Mark Micken, the assistant coach at Adelaide.
I certainly have, Mark. A bit of blow. A dejected DeMarcus Shudo over there, the skipper, with that ankle injury.
Yeah, look, he's a player we'll miss, but and he's one that we can probably use again if we really have to, but we'd probably be better off leaving him there for the moment.
Nigel Smart's done a mighty job, just following Chris Grant wherever he goes.
Yeah, that's been his instruction, and we're pretty pleased with how he's gone so far.
Yeah, you'd be looking for the on-ballers to kick up in this last quarter too.
Yeah, just to make the most of our opportunities. You know, it's been a game of pressure, and the team that makes the best of their opportunities will probably come out on top.
Good luck on the run home.
Thank you, Michael. Michael Roberts there with Mark Micken, the Adelaide team out. The Western Bulldogs players now just dispersing after Terry Wallace has spoken to them. It's a tough game. We've spoken about Chris Grant. We've spoken about the problems he's had with his neck. He did cop one there in the third quarter. It would have been a couple of anxious moments, I'm sure. It was the front of the neck, though. It was more the throat, isn't it?
The Adam's apple, Gary.
He wasn't all that impressed either. Let's have a look at this one, and they hurt, those ones.
Indeed they do, and look, he's as strong as any player on the ground. I don't think we should make too much of what has transpired during the pre-season.
You're going to be brave enough to call it? Either of you two learned gentlemen?
He hasn't had any bench time, has he?
You're not calling it. No, he stayed out there. I got the feeling that Adelaide were tiring a bit towards the third quarter.
I'll go with you, Gary. The Bulldogs.
So we're set to go in the final term. Very important for both clubs to get away to the right start. Stenglein claimed in the tackle. I don't know why, but this is a modern football phenomenon. Every time we start back in the centre, we seem to have to do it all over again. I would have thought you're better off getting it right the first time. Less players in the mix. But this is what happens. Darcy claimed. He's got the 105-kilo Rhett Biglands lying on top of him.
See, Garlick and Smith, Gary, as you just point out to me, have gone deep into attack for the Bulldogs, looking for a smaller, faster leading option.
Yeah, with John Cock down there playing out of the goal square, wouldn't be too familiar with that position.
Liberatore, standing start, high kick to centre-half forward. Hard to mark those. On the ground, Dimartina picks it up, shovels out the handball, missed his target, and now the Crows can bring it away.
And Goodwin, Edwards, linking play here as they manoeuvre the ball up through the middle of the ground. Edwards with the foot pass inside forward 50. No mark. Walsh, Robbins, Credioff, Penny. They all arrive. One by one they go. Ball comes out. Handball. Might have been Dowdy. It was Dowdy that got the right foot snapped through. And that is one that the Adelaide Crows love to see. 90 plays 75. Good break for the Crows early in the last.
They've started each of the quarters well, Adelaide. They've scored goals early in the piece and been able to hang on most occasions. This was a terrific finish. Just held it out in one hand so you get a bit more of an angle on the kick. And, well, A wonderful start to the quarter. 15 points in this tight contest. It'll be hard to reel in from a Western Bulldogs point of view. Out of the middle, so important. Sorry, boys. Just so critical here. Big Lands has been terrific. Hasn't had a lot of the footy, but his presence in the centre square has been wonderful.
Excellent work there from Scott Welsh as well to trap the ball and get the handball out to Ryan Fitzgerald. So 13-12 plays 10-15. They certainly would not want to see another one here. They thump it back in, though, through the agency of Goodwin, the Crows. Bouncing ball inside the forward 50. Mark Stevens tackled, but he's over the line. And there'll be a boundary throw-in. 15 points doesn't sound like much, but it hasn't been an encounter where we've seen big margins at any point during the game. There's the bench for the Western Bulldogs. Gian Siracusa, James and Bartlett sitting it out for the moment. That one hits McLeod on the head. Now Liberatore forced a handball from a lying start. Goodwin gets it back to Nigel Smart. He's instantly claimed by Chris Grant. Back to Goodwin. Goodwin gets it to centre half forward. Big thump by the Bulldog defence. A chance here for Albie to take it away.
Through the middle of the ground, they've got the loose man here, the Bulldogs. Dimatina. Stop props. Needs to move it quickly. Bandy's found space. Back in the pack. Beautifully judged attempt by Stengline. He knew he was outsized with the bigger Bandy, so he had to take a running leap to match it in the air with him. Well thought out process. Bassett, Hart, Edwards, all linking across that half back line. Coming to the fore, Perry. Johnson it is, in fact. Kane Johnson.
Hard runners come into their own in these games, Brian. The blokes that can push themselves through a bit of pain will get lots of footy in the last quarter.
Burton only got fresh air as he went over the top. Robbins, the old 1-2 to Dimatina. Transfer of play on, it's risky. They have to take risks here, the Bulldogs. Harrison, the linking run of Garlick. He has found Liberatore by himself. Beautiful, got a hand in the way McLeod. He did it wonderfully well. Liver and McLeod one-on-one. Umpire said he had a hold of his dacks.
He can get the footy without even looking at it, Andrew McLeod.
McLeod free kick, plays on. And here they go again, the Crows, with Edwards.
He can go by hand over the top to John Cott, does so. And he steps around a couple. Kicks it to the hot spot. Leading in the race with the ball, Shell, but beautiful, courageous mark there from Robbins. That's terrific stuff from the little man across half-back.
One of the best on the ground today, Matthew Robbins. It's been terrific.
Dishes it off by hand to his captain, who'll get it back after Harrison took the mark. So Chris Grant, short kick is good, and he'll find McMahon. McMahon breaks on the left, kicks to half forward. West, your sense has got to go. Does so, but by foot in the end. Good work from Bandy to shovel the handball forward. Johnson, can he break clear? Magnificent tackle from Simon Goodwin. They still get it inside the 50, however, the Dogs. And Simon Garlick's got the ball.
Well, look at the tackle here. Look at this. That is wonderful camera work, first of all. It's just a great, desperate effort. Probably in the context of the way this game's been umpired, a correct decision to let it go. And it finds its way into the hands of Simon Garlick. Very, very important kick.
1 goal, 1 his personal tally for the afternoon. 15 points the margin. So Simon Garlick, if he can kick his second, will narrow it to 9 points and get the Bulldogs back in the picture. Kick on the way. Certainly timed it okay. He may have just pushed it to the far side. It's a behind. They trail by 14 points.
The Crows kick in here. They've gone long and to the right-hand side. 5 out of the 10 sides. There's his tackle again. That's a terrific vision. Long and right, their preferred option, so he goes short and right. But there was a free man on.
Good umpiring decision there too. You can see the little handball. He did in fact get rid of it. Brown, Marsh plays on Grant. Got nothing on Long, so he has to retreat and go wide. Harrison short to McMahon. McMahon another short one to Bandy, and Bandy is marked deep in the pocket. John Cock coming late. Difficult angle. Daniel Bandy with another opportunity.
That was the long and short of it. John Cock and Bandy.
Well, it was also very nice, precise disposal by foot, and that's when the Bulldogs are most dangerous, because the players don't think they're going to go to their opponent because they're only 15 metres away, but they can be that precise. Big kick.
2 behind so far for Bandy in the goal attempts. Kick on its way. It's got a swing. It didn't. Post. Never seen so many posters at the ground than here at Colonial Stadium. Maybe they're a bit thicker in diameter, Gary, the posts here or something. The Bulldogs. A point closer, trailing by just to 13 points now.
3 posters this afternoon, Brian, in actual fact, so...
That's about normal,
about average.
Ben Hart brings it back in. Big fly by Biglands. Can't reel it in, but it's going to work for Adelaide. Stenglein with the looping handball to Perry. He goes with the Phil Cracker imitation over the top. And he finds Andy McLeod on the wing. McLeod has been superb today. Short kick is okay. Dowdy ends up with it. And he just slows things down for Adelaide. 13 points. They lead it by. It has been a tight encounter right from the get-go, this one. Both coaches would be bitterly disappointed to let it slip. Long kick inside the 50. Fitzgerald interfered with. No free kick. And Darcy's going to end up with it.
Good mark by Darcy. Harrison, they release out wide. McMahon's got it. Little like his presence on the ground. Kicked 3 goals in his last senior game last year against Melbourne. Did McMahon. Liberatore's got it, the little fella. Centres the ball. Kick missed its intended target in Bandy. It's a ball in dispute now. Who wants it? Crows got it through hard originally. Edwards pirouetting space. Kick out wide by McLeod is inch perfect and finds his man out there. That's Shell. Kicked the first goal of the game here today, Colonial Stadium. Goes along the boundary line to Goodwin. Goodwin. Long ball, pack forms. Who'll get it in the air? No one. Penny. First to recover for the Bulldogs. Kicked it into open space though. Dowdy's been good, lively. Had to get rid of it. The tackle was there. Johnson, shot on goal. Kane Johnson's got it, his first of the day.
They're working really hard here from the defensive 50. Finds some space in the open. Spears out a slick hand pass. Oh, champagne football. They're away again. This is beautiful to watch.
Golden draft, thanks.
It's on again. No deposit, interest-free for an incredible 24 months. It's no deposit and interest-free on furniture, dining, bedding, lounge, everything. 24 months, interest-free and absolutely no deposit. Hurry and soon. Only at McCaw News.
19 points to break. And Adelaide certainly finishing in a manner that will please the coaching staff and the Brains Trust at West Lakes. Now it's the Bulldogs who have got to respond. West, slung, surely must take a free kick and does. Mark Bickley, the offending player. Scotty West vigorously hurled to the ground. As you can see, that shot there, nothing of the footy. So West to kick it inside the 50. Almost interfered with Smith. It'll come to the back of Dimatina. Can he conjure something? Beautiful pickup. Claimed in the tackle. Gets it to go. Tries to step around John Cock and can't. And now Nathan Bassett, with a number of options, decides to just wander across the line and concede it behind.
Probably not a bad move. There's a couple of changes down there. Liberatore came off the ground. He was running up and down on the one spot a bit. McLeod now picked up by Robbins.
Gian Siracusa came on for Liberatore, so that'll give him some added bite there. Darcy couldn't win it in the air. Knocks up, getting it on the ground though. Pushed the ball out. Johnson. Pirouette move. Got it back to Smith. Long ball. Dimatina closing. Edwards. Might have been an infringement there. Umpire said play on. Fair enough. Ball up. 20 metres. Bulldogs goal.
Well, it's a hot footy still, but there are some tired players out there. So once you win possession, you have to get full value. If you look up, there will be players free because they just haven't got the running capacity to go with each other. So you've just got to make sure you get full value for your touches in this last 20 minutes.
18-point lead of the Adelaide Crows. Roughly 20 minutes to play in the game. Perry, Bandy doing the ruck work deep in the Bulldogs forward 50. Handball to the safety of the boundary line will result in a boundary throw in. Chris Grant has worked hard in this game as we look at the matchup, Gary.
Yeah, 13 touches to Nigel Smart and 14 to Chris Grant. So it's been a terrific duel. Early on in the piece, I thought Nigel Smart had much the better, but Grant has worked his way back into this game very well.
Bandy gets it to McMahon. He's playing when he didn't have it. No free kick. Play on. Tyson Edwards. The short kick. It's going to work out okay for the Crows. They clear it through Nigel Smart. The man Gary Lyon was talking about. He'll have a bounce. Streaming down the outer side. Checks the kick and did it well. And now McLeod's got it at half forward. He can go over the top. Red Biglands has provided the run. Can play on. Steady. Load up. And missed the lot. No, he's kicked it behind. Shake of the head there from the big man.
He's moving well for a big fellow, and that's a hard running I was speaking about as we see the North Melbourne or the Kangaroos Brains Trust, that is, all 3 or 4 of them.
They've got the Western Bulldogs next week.
And, well, they'll be taking those, which players can finish on in this game, who can run hard, who can push themselves.
Ball kick in from Albie, resulted in a contested ball, but Garlick got the ball out wide. Hunter got the loose man here, the Bulldogs. Johnson got support from Jim Syracuse in the way of a block. Out wide to Brown. Brown and John Cock going at one-on-one. John Cock did a wonderful job to keep the ball in front and not allow Brown in his space.
He has been very impressive, young Graham John Cock. He hasn't panicked. He's kicked the goal. He's had 11 touches and 5 marks, and I've been very impressed with him. I've been nervous saying his name, but I've been very impressed with him.
Top 5 possession givers there. You see West and Robbins leading the way, then followed by the 3 Adelaide players of Johnson in front. Handball over the top. Brad Johnson. Jordan McMahon picked it up. West on his favoured left. Just sinks the slipper. Now Bandy should mark. Got good possession down. Difficult position. He's not a sensational set shot at goal. Nevertheless, he is workmanlike.
He should have gone to school on his last kick from a very similar position that hit the right goalpost. So he needs to be just about a metre and a half inside that.
Now, opportunities aren't going to keep presenting for the Bulldogs. He must nail this kick from a difficult angle. Kick on its way. This time it looks better. It's a goal. So Bandy's got the goal. Will it live and get the Bulldogs back in business?
At Bunnings Warehouse, you'll find the lowest prices on everything you need for your Easter projects. 25-litre body mix, a bargain at $2.50. 4-litre Dulux ceiling paint, $29.98. Blower back, great value at $93. 24-hour timer, a low $8.50. And bamboo flares, $2.99 each. We won't be beaten on price. And that's guaranteed.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Daniel Bandy has been an important player for the Western Bulldogs. Some of his finishing hasn't been to his liking, but that was a very, very good mark. And a nice shot at goal. Bounce is going to favour the Bulldogs. Brett Biglan's had to concede. Now they look like getting a clearance. Well done, Johnson. Just bowled it forward. Now they've got to work hard, the Adelaide defence. Rowan Smith ducking and weaving. Now finds a clear passage. Almost gets it to Bandy. It's going to clear that player. Well done, Ben Nelson, to get back and get the ball across the line. 12 points the margin, 2 straight kicks. And just in the last couple of minutes, the Adelaide defence under siege.
Johnson, a player that hasn't had the greatest of afternoons. He's running now. He's starting to get involved in the play, pushing himself where others perhaps tire.
Ian Perry kicks it to a one-on-one contest, ball on the ground. Now they can go through West, get it to Chris Grant. High kick inside the forward 50. Marking player needed. Adelaide players fly to the contest. John Cock, he's going to have to concede. He had absolutely not one single option, and in the end he went to the line, and that was probably a good result.
Pretty cool customer, young Graham. He doesn't seem too phased at all.
John Cock there as we have the boundary throw in right on 50. Bandy doing the rough work. Knocked it down, Johnson. Little left foot kick around the corner, kept it in play, gained 30 for his side. It was clever, it was good. And it just relieves the pressure a little bit and takes it away from the hot zone. So another boundary throw in. Bandy kicking the last goal for the Bulldogs. We see the top 5 there. McLeod in inside 50s has 10 of them. Darcy, Biglands. Edwards in amongst it. Biglands goes for another go. Nelson in amongst there as well. Crows go forward. Bulldogs pretty off. Had a poor season with injury last year. Looking good this year. Matty Robbins has worked tirelessly all day. He's done some great things. He's been a good tackler and showed courage on several occasions for his 27 possessions. Has been a solid contributor, Gary.
So, Brian, he doesn't let you down too often, Matthew Robbins. Every time I see him play, he impresses me, and he's very much an important part of this Bulldogs outfit.
They haven't led since the 19-minute mark of the second term, the Bulldogs. They've got it to 12 points now. A couple of straight kicks, and they're right back at the teeth of it. Mark Bickley trying to get it going the other way. Fly from behind there by Fitzgerald, nothing doing. Now they've got a chance, Adelaide. Stepping out. It comes to Stevens. Dribbling ball. Still alive. Now it's over the line. Well done by Croft. The 150-gamer, Mark Stevens, thought for just a moment that he got that one home. Let's go down to the Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, James, Simon Goodwin currently on the bench having some massage work done and just running the boundaries, been tightening up, probably some cramps. He's done a lot of work today, but hopefully they'll be able to get him back.
Here we go. Not long left in the game. Penny working it out to defensive 50. Pressure's been on this. Robbins again. It's been marked by Burton. He runs goalward. Launches from 50. It'll be the game sealer. No, it won't. Minor score. And 17 minutes played, final quarter. Bulldogs trailing 85-99.
Great effort by Tyson Stengline to spoil that ball. It never looked like he was going to get there, but just got a fingertip in it, so they'd be hoping to clear here, the Dogs.
Alvey to bring it back in. A couple of crows fly at the back of that marking contest. Ball in dispute. They're going to cough it up. Dowdy's got it. It didn't carry the required distance. Croft's got him. Umpire has well and truly put the whistle away. McMahon gets it. He's dragged to the ground. Players desperate as the game is on the line. Harrison, McMahon, Alvey. Thumping kick. Brown, very good. He wheels around. He's got Daniel Bandy breaking for him. Can't take the mark. Ball clears that player. Some tired legs out on the park at the moment. And that's a questionable decision. It's in the square. And they concede again through Nathan Bassett. The Western Bulldog fans at the Lockett end of Colonial Stadium on their feet, BT.
Absolutely.
11:20 now, the Dogs. So their inaccuracy at the end of the day may cost them.
Players on everywhere, James. Very slow to recover the Bulldogs from that point kicking. Just says that their pack's tiring a little bit.
Dowdy by hand to Stevens. He can go to the top. Biglands is going to have to go. McLeod, can he put the icing on it? Kick on the way. Goal! Andrew McLeod, you are a superstar.
Think you won't get a chance to see a Crows game this year? Mark Bickley here to let you know there is a chance for you to make the Camry Crows a part of your life and catch all the action at Football Park. Home game daily tickets are on sale now at Bass, and you'll pay just $20.40 for adults, $2.75 for kids, or take the whole family for only $38. So get down to Football Park and support the Camry Crows, the team for all South Australians. Make them a part of your life.
The goal when it mattered. McLeod, their superstar player. Best and fairest on 2 occasions for the Crows.
He is a champion, BT, no doubt about. 37 to 15 the hit-outs, and Bigland's had 23 of them.
Back in the middle, Darcy. Johnson there. Got the work in front of them now, the Bulldogs. About 10 minutes left in the game. Johnson will get the free kick back nearing the middle of the ground as the Adelaide players rush to block up the holes in their defensive 50. Johnson looks for Smith. He's going to have to beat 2. Smith in front, no mark. Spills to Jaron Siracusa. He's good by foot. Johnson, back, Harrison, left foot snap. Bandy's got a bit of a run at it. Will mark it. Edge of the square, Bandy has kicked one for the day. Not done with just yet, the Bulldogs.
He's impressive, Daniel Bandy. He a bit like Brett Burton. Just have a look at this. Is this Chris Grant? Maybe line ball. 8 marks for Daniel Bandy. He's an athlete, and he keeps going when others are tiring. So that's a good sign.
Bandy comes in to give the Bulldogs some hope. They haven't given up. He's nailed it. Goal, second for Bandy.
There's time enough if the Western Bulldogs are good enough. The question is whether they've got enough in the tank. It has been a blistering afternoon. Simon Goodwin with the centre clearance again. thumps it forward for the Crows. Ball in dispute, 15 metres, 20 metres out. Shoveling a handball through there was Stenglein. Now it's with Welch. He kicks the goal that wins the game for Adelaide.
On CSI.
Come from around the corner, guns drawn.
There were two of them.
This is the heist
Regular Bonnie and Clyde. Just what Vegas needs.
that will lead to a discovery no one will see coming. CSI, 8:30 Tuesday on 9.
From the first watch, the drama will grip you. On the second watch, the characters will seduce you. Then the third watch will hook you. From the acclaimed producer of VR, Third Watch, 9:30 Wednesday on 9.
So you get the feeling that that is the seal-up for the Adelaide Crows with just over 5 minutes remaining in the game. Goals can be scored quickly in modern football, but I'm not sure whether they're capable. Look at that. Biglands to McLeod. McLeod drills it inside 50. Bickley held on to Roberts. No free kick, doesn't matter. Bulldogs have got the ball. Elby with a loose handball over the top. West. Turnover here. McLeod. Cool as you like, the Crows. They go out wide. Looking for Stevens. Hunter tries to just corral him into the corner. Make him kick it high to the disputed contest. Credior couldn't mark. Welsh was in there. Kicked the last goal. Play on, says the umpire. Kane Johnson desperate. Credior there and Croft, the old Crows, not letting the ball out of the contest. Ball up, 30 metres from the Crows' goal.
Here's this bounce again. Just look at here, Big Lands. Oh, sorry, this is a different one, but there was sharked by Andrew McLeod. So they've had some wonderful players in the centre square.
Bounce back at the 40-metre mark from the Adelaide goal front, and understandably there are a poultice of footballers around that stop down.
39-16 at the hit-outs in favour of the Adelaide Crows, which when you consider Luke Darcy in the opposition camp, it's a fair result.
Been a bruising encounter, this one. Just over 4 minutes remaining. Adelaide at the moment have it by 19 points. Biglands works it down. McLeod, who in this second half has had his own version of the footy out there. Now the Dogs can get it going forward. Dimatina with a good mark. Gets it to Gian Syracuse. Handball on to West. Who, if it'll sit for him, can keep going. Looks to Brown. The ball actually hits Gian Syracuse in the back. Now they make it hard for themselves, the Dogs. It's John Cock with the ball. He spun around in the tackle. Will have a bounce deep in the Western Bulldogs attacking half. John Cock, the man on screen, has had a debut to remember. We've got a rap from Gary Lyon. We might just get a videotape of this game, and he'll enjoy hearing that because Gary himself, one of the best. But John Cock certainly has done an excellent job on debut. Now it goes to Garlick. Garlick handball back. This time McMahon. He goes inboard, but sets West a real task. And Tyson Edwards picks up the ball. Gives it up, though, to Dimatina. Short kick from that player. Again to a one-on-one situation. Flying high there was Johnson. No free kick. Stepping through Alvey. He can't pick it up. Tired players, understandably so, as the clock runs down.
They are tired, and they've been brave. Both sides have been committed and have worked really hard throughout the afternoon. But Andrew McLeod, 8 disposals for the quarter when the game needs to be won. He hasn't had an afternoon to remember.
The money man, the Michael Jordan of football when it matters. Running hot there, Andrew McLeod. 19-point lead to the Adelaide Crows. Minutes remain, 2.5. Out they come again. Dowdy got it to Bickley, the skipper. He's got an open forward line to stand and deliver. They had lots of space to work. Couldn't pull it off on that occasion. Shell. Croft works hard. Penny helps in assisting the shepherd there. Time now to deliver. Got it out to Nathan Brown. He goes forward with a sizzling pass. Darcy takes him on. He runs onto his wrong foot. Hamill over top to McMahon. Grant spinning pirouette. Trouble and into trouble. Hard football from both sides. Free kick. A little fortunate to go the Bulldogs' way. Dimatina the man to receive.
Have a look at Chris Grant's neck. If he had doubts about his neck here, have a look at that. Then we got a free kick for pushing the back to Dimatina.
Dimatina, 45 metres out, badly pulling the ball. almost out of bounds on the full, just a minor score. So an 18-point ball game now in favour of the Adelaide Crows.
And they would be worthy winners. They've gone inside 57 occasions, the Crows, for 31 shots. The Dogs, 49 for 32 shots. So they've been a bit more efficient, the Western Bulldogs. The Crows have been in attack far more often.
Nathan Bassett, a couple of bounces, and then around the outer side, brought to the ground there was Burton. Again, McLeod with the silky touch. Stengline's got it. Half forward the kick. Fitzgerald manhandled. Well done, Penny. No free or no mark paid, but they're good enough back there to get it to Hunter. Hunter to Chris Grant. He pops it up. Now Fitzgerald goes back into the play to Stevens. Stevens to Welch, the goal scorer. Welch can just drop it over the top. And Shell has found some space out there. And if there's any doubt about the result, Daniel Shell can put it beyond doubt. 2 goals, 1 he's kicked.
And been reasonable, has Daniel Shell. He's presented a couple of times. He's had his hands on the football where you'd like to see your full forward hang on to it, but 4 marks. If he kicks his 3 goals for the afternoon, probably a fair day's work.
Right behind him with the camera. Shot on the way. It needs to move left a little if it's going to bring out the desired result for the Crows. It doesn't. Through for a behind. 16-16 now in the Western Bulldogs. 12-21. Gary Ayres, you would imagine, if they can get over the line here, the Crows will be absolutely delighted. Oh, the chase from McLeod. You heard it from Gary Lyon, and again, another tackle put on by McLeod.
Sorry, I'm getting a bit excited.
Fair enough. Head ducked a little there by Robbins, and we're going to have a bounce 60 metres out from the Adelaide goal.
It's just unusual, 28 and a half minutes into the last quarter to see the chase like this when the game's in the bag. To chase Matthew Robbins and actually drag him down, but then stand up and win the ball again. It's been a superb individual performance and a great team effort from Adelaide.
Well, the game's over. There's only 20-odd seconds left, but it's still great to watch individual efforts like the one of McLeod then. Gian Siracusa, Robbins. McMahon's impressed since coming on late in the game. Takes a bounce through the middle of the ground. It's an area they probably haven't had enough in the second half. The free running bounces through the middle. Bandy. And that will be it. The ball game. The Adelaide Crows win here at Colonial. Gary Ayres and staff. 19-point victors there. The Adelaide Crows, 16-16 at 112. Defeating a gallant Western Bulldogs. 12-21-93. Very inaccurate.
Well, 33 scoring shots to Western Bulldogs to Adelaide's 32, and that would be the only downside for Adelaide. Their skipper, Mark Rasciuto, who's come off the ground just before half-time with what we believe is a nasty ankle injury. Dr. Peter Larkins will chase that up, I'm sure, in the post-game, and we'll work out exactly how he is. And he would have been pretty proud of the way his Chargers rallied halfway through that second quarter. In fact, he led the charge along with Andrew McLeod and Brett Burton. And they got themselves into a position where they were able to hang on, and to travel over here and notch up their first win for the Crows is a wonderful result. So 16-16, 112 Adelaide defeated the Western Bulldogs 12-21-93. We'll take a break and we will wrap up all the action right here from Colonial.
Hollywood dirty tricks robbed Russell Crowe of the Oscar.
You're not real!
The smear campaign.
Being treated like an animal.
Against the real John Nash.
And that's just not true.
Now, the true story of the beautiful mind.
I begin to hear voices.
And at last...
The patient doesn't feel anything.
A stunning breakthrough in the treatment of heart disease.
So I've got new life. That's what it's all about.
When Toyota presents 60 Minutes, tonight, 7:30 on 9.
Think you won't get a chance to see a Crows game this year? Mark Bickley here to let you know there is a chance for you to make the Camry Crows a part of your life and catch all the action at Football Park. Home game daily tickets are on sale now at Bass, and you'll pay just $20.40 for adults, $2.75 for kids, or take the whole family for only $38. So get down to Football Park and support the Camry Crows, the team for all South Australians. Make them a part of your life.
The greatest movie musical of all time finally comes to the stage.
Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
David Atkins and IMG proudly present Singing in the Rain at the Festival Theatre from March 28th.
And singing in
Book now
the
at Bass, sponsored by RSL.com.
The Duracell Alkaline Battery, long-lasting with lots of bite. Duracell Copper Top, long-lasting alkaline.
I'm doing a run, guys. Do you want something? Yeah, get us something cold. Yeah, get us something cold. Natural energy. Get it in ya.
The original energy source. Sunday night at the movies.
Batteries of Batman.
The explosive box office blockbuster comes to Channel 9. Batman and Robin. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Uma Thurman.
This is a one-woman show.
Alicia Silverstone.
I got you.
Chris O'Donnell. Elle Macpherson and superstar George Clooney. Batman and Robin, 8:30 tonight on 9.
There they are, a very happy Adelaide Crows team here. One of their rare victories over the Western Bulldogs in recent times, and, well, they've won out comfortable 19-point winners at the end of the day. After trailing early on in this match, they rallied impressively, and they'd be well pleased, Brian Taylor.
Indeed they would, Gary. Not many really would have expected the Adelaide Crows to win here today, and in such a gallant performance, led by their superstar McLeod, of course, they were just sensational, especially in the second half.
Let's go down to Michael Roberts, who's in the winners' rooms.
I certainly am, Gary, and Nigel Smart had a huge job today. Had to play on Chris Grant. High expectation on the Bulldog skipper. You went with him all night.
Yeah, look, he's a tough opponent. I first stood him probably back in 1992, and he's had the better of me on many occasions, but today it was a good game all around, and we won the game.
I said night because they closed the door on us. Closed the roof on us, but you lost the skipper, Mark Asciuto, with an ankle injury, so Kane Johnson and McLeod played an enormous game.
Yeah, look, a few boys had to step up. Mark Bickley came off the bench and took Mark Asciuto's role. And look, it's one for the captain. Look, he's a great skipper, and a few guys had to lift, and the guys that you said did.
Your round one, you're not flash coming up in round one, and also the Bulldogs had a decent record on you as well.
Look, we haven't beaten them since 1998. We were well aware of that, and we really wanted to change a bit of history. They're a good side. They're pretty solid. They're at us all day. But we ground them down in the end, and look, there were a hell of a lot of points kicked during the game, so if we kicked straight, it might have been different.
And what about Granty? He started to get a few good touches after half-time, didn't he?
You know, look, I think he was building into it. He's had a short preparation. I think it might have showed a little bit today, and he's going to get better and better. He's a class player.
Tremendous to start off the season with a big win.
Oh, it's great. Great feeling here.
Well done.
Michael Roberts down in the victorious Adelaide rooms with Nigel Smart, who turned the clock back a bit today, I thought. There's the goal kickers, Brian. No big goal scorers. Andy McLeod, the biggest or highest goal scorer on the ground, and probably clearly the best player on the ground as well. He had 3 and multiples for the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, Bandy was pretty good with his 2 goals, but they did miss some golden opportunities, the Western Bulldogs, in the second half of football, and it cost them ultimately.
It did, and it was a pleasure to actually be here to witness the form of Andrew McLeod today. He turned it on in a big, big way. He did it all through the middle of the ground. He kicked goals when they needed to be won. He's just about the best player going around in the competition, and we were thankful we're here to see it.
Well, runner-up in Brownlow last year, sensational start to this year. He's certainly got a firm as the favourite.
Big start for the Adelaide Crows. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week on AFL on 9.